kusinda ukinibanya banye kwa.
It is the second day of December, the year of our Lord 2024. Welcome to Good Morning Kenya, brand new month, brand new week. How are you doing? A day after the world celebrated World AIDS Day, and Kenya has recorded certain figures in as far as that is concerned. We are also recording a number of achievements, failures, in as far as politics of our country is concerned. My name is Victor Olo. Welcome to Good Morning Kenya. What are you doing this morning and how has your weekend been? Let's start the week on a high. Let me remind you, be yourself. That is the only thing I can tell you. Do not try to be someone else. Be yourself. Anything that you're planning to do, remember it's been done. The only thing you need to do is to do it better. Vivian,
I agree with you 100%. And I mean, when you try be somebody else or you try emulate someone too much, you'll just be a copy because they're already there. So be yourself and be the best version of yourself that you can be. And you will be doing the best thing to do for your own self. Now, welcome to Good Morning Kenya. We are coming to you live from the broadcasting house. As Victor has mentioned, we are in a brand new month and it is the last month of the year. Myself, I'm really grateful to have been in this year, you know, from January.
Why are you grateful?
I'm really grateful. I mean, this year has been quite challenging.
Yes.
You know, for us entirely as a country, we've had a lot happening this year.
It's been a busy one for us.
It's been a really busy year. I guess that's why we find, we see it as though it has really flown over our eyes. But we've had a lot happening. On my end, a lot has been happening, achievements here and there, some losses here and there. But well, that's how life is. We have ups and downs. We just embrace all of it. I hope that you're ready to take on this month and finish off strong. Now, today being a Monday, we have a lot in store for you. Matters Politics. Victor will be covering that. We have transformative leaders that Mike Migwe will also be covering. And then Victor also mentioned about yesterday's World AIDS Day, which was commemorated all over the world. And tomorrow being a Tuesday, it will be Health Tuesday. Mark you will be having a conversation on AIDS, and specifically we'll be looking at stigma, but that will be tomorrow, so better stay tuned for that conversation today. For me today, I'll have to leave you with a quote, and that is, either you run your day or your day runs you. It's a choice you have to make every single morning.
That's heavy.
Mike, good morning.
Good morning, Vivian. It's either you run your day or your day runs you.
Yeah.
So you have the power to change whatever happens in your life starting now. Welcome to the program. My name is Mike Migwe, and as Vivian has alluded to, we'll be having transformative leaders. And the thing, one of the things we'll be talking about is the role that our culture and heritage plays in our identity. You know, we are living in a time of globalization. There is immigration and also industrialization. They have been attributed with economic success globally, but on the other hand, they have also been accused, quote unquote, of contributing to the loss of some cultures. So we'll be looking at that in detail, and I'll be having in studio Ms. Njeri Mbure, who is a communications and heritage specialist, who will be joining me here in studio to talk about this in detail. So you want to tune into that conversation. Remember, you can be part of every conversation that happens on these programs. We are at KBC Channel 1 on all our social media platforms. My personal X handle is @mmigwe, so be part of these conversations. Good morning, Marie.
A very good morning to you, Mike, and to all of you joining us here in Nairobi and across the country. My name is Marie Yambo, and definitely I'll be bringing you up to speed with what is happening in as far as the news is concerned. But before that, Victor and Vivian also mentioned about the World AIDS Day, which was commemorated yesterday. But I have a question, Victor. What do you remember most when you became aware of HIV/AIDS? Yep.
What really, when they became aware?
Yes.
I think the world, or Kenya in general, we were given a lot of education. That was way back in primary, because it's now 40 years since the pandemic was discovered in the country. So a majority of us grew knowing that it was one of the deadliest diseases or virus around. So
Yeah.
one thing that we were told was the main cause of transmission.
Yeah.
But we are also overlooking others. That's one thing that people never took seriously. It doesn't have to be through intercourse or something, because we have got synergies, we have got shared items, etc., etc., etc.
Exactly.
But so far where we are, a couple of people have lived with it for close to 10, 15, 16, or even 30 years.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I asked that question because young people today, I don't know about Mike and Vivian, so I don't want to ask you, because some of us, they say life begins at 40, yeah? So our lives have begun. So a lot of
That's
young
how you're
people...
going to overlook us because of our age.
No, I'm just saying, I asked Victor for a reason, but I know you also, I mean, are aware.
Yeah.
But, you know, HIV infection is more in the young people right now, between, I think, 10 and 24.
Yeah.
They are the ones who have the highest burden of HIV.
Yeah.
But when you were growing up, it was the opposite. It was the older people, and especially those, can I say, in marriages and all that. But things have changed. So I'm just bringing up that because the young people did not see what we saw. It was very obvious when somebody had HIV or AIDS. At that time, there were no ARVs, you know, but today someone looks very healthy, and you'd assume that they're healthy, but yeah. So another thing, you need to get to know your status. I know mine. I don't want to get into details of that. So thank you so much for making the time for us this morning. My name is Marie Yambo, and top in the news this morning, the government pursues local manufacturing of pharmaceuticals and healthcare products to bolster the fight against HIV/AIDS. And President William Ruto urges the church and politicians to collaborate in uniting Kenyans. Later on in sports, the Hockey Premier Leagues end with Western Jaguars and Blazers bagging the men's and ladies' titles respectively. Well, we begin the news right there on that note of World AIDS Day, where the government is leveraging on local manufacturing of pharmaceuticals and healthcare products as a sustainable solution in the fight against HIV/AIDS. Speaking during the 40th commemoration of the World AIDS Day, Health Cabinet Secretary, that is Deborah Barasa, disclosed that this will make the country more resilient to emerging health challenges. Let's get the details of that story.
It is a race against time, with barely 5 years to the 2030 target set by the government to eradicate the public health threat posed by HIV and AIDS. Thousands of Kenyans converged at Nyayo National Stadium Sunday morning to participate in different categories of the race in commemoration of World AIDS Day, which is celebrated every 1st of December. Since Kenya's first HIV recorded case in 1984, several milestones have been made in this fight, such as reduction of new infections from over 100,000 in 2013 to 16,752 in 2023. Of these new infections, 73% were the youth aged between 15 and 34 years, a grim reality.
These our Gen Zs, they have not been born when AIDS was real AIDS. And they don't seem to know. That is why the infections are high among the young people. Awareness is going to be key if we really want to eradicate AIDS by the year 2030.
And you heard the numbers that demonstrate how we're really close to winning this race. But the last bit's the hardest. Why? Because the new infections are in the hardest to reach populations. Whether we're talking about sex workers, people who use drugs, sexual minorities, whether we're talking about kids.
HIV mortality rate is also high among boys and men, hence the clarion call to them to go for early tests.
Have not traditionally gone to the facilities. We are seeing them coming too late, especially when they get HIV. They come for diagnosis too late, and then we are trying to say that men and boys can play a significant role as champions.
Because there's still the stigma against HIV and AIDS. Many people don't want to know their status. As they say, ignorance is bliss, so many people just want to stay like that. But yeah, it's time to do some testing. I'm also getting my own personal tests.
Making Kenya a HIV/AIDS-free country by 2030 requires collective efforts.
Is declining global donor funding, which poses additional challenges to what we want to achieve in our country. And I'm seeing this as one case that is going to derail our process if we are not careful.
Furthermore, the Ministry of Health is keen on leveraging local manufacturing of HIV drugs and commodities as a sustainable avenue towards self-reliance in the fight against HIV and AIDS.
Us as a country, let us think of sustainable solutions. Let us leverage on the manufacturing industries that we have and see how we can have local manufacturing. Thank you. He understands local manufacturing of ARVs within our country.
And young people have been encouraged to get tested for HIV/AIDS, and HIV that is, and begin treatment if they test positive in order to reduce the spread of the virus. The government has also been urged to ensure hospitals are properly stocked with necessary medication to help manage the pandemic.
This year's World AIDS Day was commemorated under the theme Take the Rights Path, My Health, My Right. Locally, however, focus shifted to promoting healthy masculinity and health outcomes for men and boys. HIV and AIDS coordinator in Turkana County, Joseph Simiyu, said in the last 1 year, more men have been affected than women, accounting for 166 of the 287 new infections.
Jambo hilo limetupea wasiwasi kwa sababu wanaume wanakufa zaidi kuliko wanawake. Na wanaume wenyewe pia hawako kwa dawa. Kumaanisha sasa tunafaa tu focus hiyo population ili tuwasaidie.
The youth's reluctance to discuss their HIV and AIDS status has also been blamed for fueling its spread.
We still need to do a lot of work for the adolescents and young persons, encourage them to form their own support groups where they can discuss their issues freely.
Bungoma County HIV Coordinator Ken Bomji urged the youth to seek early diagnosis to enable them live fruitful lives while on treatment.
There is a lot we are doing to curb the menace of HIV, which is a pandemic. And today I'm happy that we are handling.
His sentiments were echoed by his counterpart in Mandera County, Abdi Gedi, who urged the residents to know their HIV status so as to manage and prevent HIV spread.
About 5 years ago, only 12 facilities were providing HIV treatment. As we speak today, 45 facilities in the county are providing HIV care and treatment.
He, however, refuted recent media reports claiming a high HIV prevalence in Mandera, criticizing organizations for sharing unverified data in an effort to attract funding. The occasional shortage of essential HIV and AIDS prevention supplies, including antiretroviral drugs, is a matter of concern.
Walianzisha hii program, tulikuwa tunapewa madawa tukianza kupima watu katika kijiji chetu. Sasa wakati mwingine madawa zinaisha, lakini kukuja inachukua muda.
And in Makueni, county officials noted that 24,000 people are receiving treatment, but regretted that there were 179 new infections and 119 deaths in 2024.
On an annual basis, our adolescents aged 15 to 24 contribute to around 38% of the new HIV infections. So we cannot address the whole proportion if we don't reprogram for the adolescents and young persons.
We move on and away from health matters. President William Ruto has stressed the need for the church and leaders to work together and ensure the unity of Kenyans. Speaking during an interdenominational church service at Kimana Primary School grounds in Kajiado County, the head of state said Kenya will not prosper economically through competing interests that divide the people.
President William Ruto has called on the church, the state and all the leaders to work together and shun the politics of exclusion.
The politics of tribalism, the politics that divides people, we get rid of it in the Republic of Kenya. Sisi wote ni ndugu moja wa taifa moja. Mungu ametuweka pamoja katika taifa hii akijua maana yake. So naomba tameni tushirikiane, tukue pamoja.
The head of state also reiterated his government's resolve to ensure the implementation of universal health coverage through the Social Health Insurance Fund. Other leaders who accompanied the president, including the Senate Speaker Amason Jeffa Kingi, called on the residents to register with the Social Health Insurance Fund.
Haiwezekani kwamba sisi wa Kenya tuko sawa, lakini kuna wengine wakiwa wagonjwa wanaenda hospitali za kifahari na wengine wanabaki nyumbani wanakufa kwa sababu hawana mbele wala nyuma. Haiwezekani.
And Deputy President Kithure Kindiki has hailed the healthcare reform initiative, Taifa Care, as a pivotal step towards providing inclusive, affordable and quality health to all Kenyans, regardless of their economic status. Speaking during a Sunday service in Chuso, that is in Kitui County, Kindiki assured citizens that the program would transform the healthcare landscape, calling on more people to register for the initiative. Meanwhile, the Deputy President has echoed the President's call on political leaders to work towards preserving national unity. He cautioned against actions that could threaten the country's stability, emphasizing that incitement to violence and destruction of public and private property goes against the foundation of the Constitution.
Registration into the universal health coverage, Taifa Care, is extremely important for us to make sure that our health insurance is no longer a preserve of a few people who have pay slips, but every Kenyan. We must rescue our country from sliding into lawlessness by agreeing to transact our affairs peacefully, honorably, and when we disagree, we respect each other's opinion and wait for democratic ways of resolving our dispute.
Now, former Prime Minister Raila Odinga has taken a swipe at former Deputy President, that is Rigathi Gachagua, claiming he orchestrated his political downfall. Speaking in Vihiga County on Sunday, Raila said the former Deputy President publicly bragged about his intention to forestall any attempt to bridge the political divide. Odinga revisited Gachagua's remarks about setting traps at State House to nab the ODM leader should he go looking for the president's hand for yet another handshake. Give us a minor with the reports.
In Vihiga County, Western Kenya region, former Prime Minister Raila Odinga joined thousands of ODM supporters in a Thanksgiving ceremony of the ODM party leader and Vihiga Senator Godfrey Otsotsi. The event also brought together leaders from the ruling UDA party. Raila used the platform to chide former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua.
Muliona juzi mtu mwingine anabweka kule. Anabweka teo, timeweka mitego. Nimeweka mitego kila mahali. Hawezi kupenya.
Raila saying Gachagua was destroyed by the traps he had set for him at State House.
Hii mtego iliwekwa kwa panya. Lakini kwanza mwenye mtego aliwawa. Kuku, mbuzi, ng'ombe, hiyo mtego ya Gachagua. Aliweka mtego kule kwa State House. Anawekea baba mtego.
Raila called a bluff the comments made by Gachagua that there would be neither handshake nor a 50-50 government.
Ati hakuna mambo ya handshake. Hakuna mambo ya nusu mkati. Ako wapi sasa Gachagua? Ako wapi?
As a leader, you must have followers.
Kama hauna followers, somebody said you are just taking a walk.
The opposition leader, who is eyeing AUC chairmanship next year, had no kind words for Parliament for reducing the county revenue allocation.
Kuna maadui ya ugatuzi, lakini wabunge wanapingana na serikali ya ugatuzi. Wabunge wenyewe wanataka wawe ndio wanafanya mambo ya kandarasi katika constituencies zao. Nasema hiyo si sawa.
The ODM leaders also vowed to keep other political parties out of the Western Kenya region by popularizing the Orange Party ahead of the 2027 general elections.
Tunaendelea kuimarisha chama chetu kwa sababu tuko na lengo ya kuchukua ushukani ya uongozi ikifika mwaka wa 2027.
Mbele vile baba amesema 2027 sisi kama ODM lazima tutengeneze serikali. Kivyo vyote vile
tutatembea pamoja mkoa huu kuunganisha watu wetu pamoja, na kwa chama tutatengeneza chama cha ODM kiwe na nguvu tukishirikiana na viongozi mmeona hapa.
To matters economics, and financial experts say African countries must harmonize their regulatory frameworks guiding the financial technology sector or lag in the revolution of financial transactions. Participants at the Africa Economic Research Consortium, a workshop including governors from various central banks in Africa, acknowledged the potential of financial technology to foster trade across Africa if only regulations are uniform.
The Africa Economic Research Consortium biannual workshop brought together academicians and policymakers to engage on how to improve the financial technology environment in the African region. Central Bank Governor Kamau Thuge acknowledged the plenary session as timely and explained how the government was offering a regulatory support system to enhance the environment for financial technology in the economy.
Kenya is again renowned for pioneering innovative mobile money solutions, and notably M-Pesa, which was launched in 2007 with the regulatory support of the CBK. The mobile money innovation has been vital in promoting digital financial inclusion and paving the way for many other fintechs to thrive.
The financial technology sector currently accounts for 2% of global financial services revenue and is projected to be at 25% by 2030. Discussants at the workshop called for concerted efforts among central banks in Africa to harmonize the regulations guiding the financial technology sector to foster trade across Africa.
We must unite now or perish. Unity is the key to the survival of Africa. So to fully realize the transformational power of fintech across our continent, one must adopt a pan-African approach, one that prioritizes collaboration and bolsters intra-regional fintech trade.
The participants also identified infrastructure constraints such as weak connectivity to internet and electricity as other key challenges facing the growth of financial technology in Africa.
Gishuki Washira reporting there. Let's look at counties where the Ministry of Mining has closed down 2 mines in Taita Taveta in a bid to curb illegal mining activities across the country. Elsewhere, the youth have been urged to embrace skilled training to address unemployment. More of this in our continuous roundup.
Leading the crackdown on illegal mines at Kishushe in Taita Taveta County, the director of mines, Gregory Kituku, said that Universal Exploration Limited was mining iron ore despite its suspension a year ago. Apo Mining Group was also said to be mining Mika mining without a license.
Any mining that is going to be undertaken in Taita Taveta County and more so in Kishushe, it has to be licensed within the law. You have to have a mining license or an artisanal mining license or a mining permit to be allowed to mine.
Elsewhere, Garissa Governor Natif Jama has urged the youths in the county to embrace skilled training to alleviate unemployment.
Our young men, our youth need now to move quickly into skills and to jobs that are skill-based to help them to get employment.
Finally, Jamhuri Kenya Youth Initiative has fitted transformative youthful leaders in various spheres. Its director Bernard Simanto said the awards challenge the youth to positively impact their communities.
As the youths, we came up with an idea and saying like, why can't we have a platform that can unite both leaders, social impact, education sector, so that we can unite together and speak in one voice.
Let's look at sports, where Western Jaguars men's hockey team and Blazers ladies hockey team are the 2023-2024 winners of the Kenya Hockey Union Premier League. Meanwhile, KCA University and Strathmore University's men's teams were promoted to the Premier League after emerging victorious in the Men's Super League.
Jaguars emerged victorious after finishing first ahead of Butali and Kenya Police hockey teams, who took the second and third places respectively. Emmanuel Awino bagged the top scorer award, while Fred Ouma was deemed the most valuable player. In the Ladies Premier League, Blazers HC emerged winners as Strathmore Ladies and MSC Ladies completed the podium dash. Mercy Georgina Simiu bagged the top scorer award as Vivian Anyango won the most valuable player award. In the Men's Super League, KCA University emerged victorious as Parkland Sports Club came in second, with both teams securing a direct promotion to the Premier League. Kisumu Queens topped the Ladies Super League, followed by Twink Ladies. Kisii Falcons were promoted to the National Super League after taking charge of the National League men, as well as Park Road Tigers. The league resumes next year for the 2024-2025 season.
And the national men's Kenya Sevens team, Shujaa, took 10th place at the opening leg of the World Rugby Sevens, led in Dubai after 7-15 loss to Uruguay in the 9th place play final. Shujaa were relegated to the 9th place semi-finals after finishing bottom of Group A on Saturday and defeated the Republic of Ireland 21-7 in the 9th semi-final. In the 9th place final match, Uruguay got 3 unconverted tries from Ignacio Faciolo, Mateo Vinals and Thomas H. Every, while George Oro scored a try that was converted by Samuel Asati late in the game. Shujaa's next stop is the Cape Town Sevens next weekend, where they will hope to build on the momentum gained from the golden try loss against Olympic and series champions, that is France, and a 22-17 win against the Blitzboks of South Africa in the Dubai group phase.
It's all happening here. Kenya lead by 2 points now. Oh man, how about this kid? He's got a bright future in the game out of Foy. He's 19 years old. Watch the line to the outside.
Well, and the Roads and Cabinet Secretary, Transport Cabinet Secretary, that is, my apologies, Davis Churcher, has declared that Mombasa is ready to host the 14th edition of the East African Community Inter-Parliamentary Games. The regional Inter-Parliamentary Games will kick off from December the 6th to the 18th, 2024 at the Mbaraki Sports Club. The CS announced that the regional games preparation had been finalized, including ensuring the necessary infrastructure and logistical support to host the prestigious event. The EAC is a regional intergovernmental organization of 8 partner states of Burundi, Democratic Republic of Congo, Kenya, Rwanda, the Federal Republic of Somalia, Republic of South Sudan, Uganda, and Tanzania, with its headquarters in Arusha, Tanzania. Well, the games that will be played include golf, football, athletics, tug of war, netball, volleyball, basketball, and darts for the people living with disabilities.
An opportunity to basically improve the local tourism. It's an opportunity to market Kenya, because when our colleagues come here, This is their seaport, the seaport that supports, or the seaport town.
Tumefanya mpangilio katika zile sehemu ambazo zahitajika tuweze kufanya lile la kufanyika. Na rai yangu kwa kila mmoja. Uzuri sisi watu wa Mombasa ni watu ambao kwamba ni wakarimu, ni watu wenye kuweza karibisha wageni.
Michezo hii itafungua biashara kwetu katika hapa Mombasa. Na leo nasema tena, kuwa karibuni sana Mombasa.
Well, that's where we end the news this morning. Thank you so much for taking the time to start your day with us here on Good Morning Kenya. But we are not yet done. My colleague Victor Loy is on standby to bring you all matters politics. My name is Marie Yambo, so stay with us if you can.
Ushapata usaidizi zote?
Sijatibiwa bado. Anywe yale maji, halafu itapobakia aweke kwenye jeraha.
Lakini haya jasiri yamenishtua. Afadhali ongea na mizimu ingilie kati.
Niko hapa kwa ajili ya Jasiri.
Mwanamke ana roho mbaya. Yeye ndo muuaji. Jasiri anaona watu wengine huko nje. Ukiambiwa uambiliki. Ukisemezwa usemezeki mwanamume, ukiguswa ugusiki.
I never heard the music so sweet. I repeat.
Wagwan, me brethren, big things are going. Remember, each and every Monday we have to shell down the place with nothing but the best of smooth wake the vibes in your favorite station. You know these things, man.
Alafu kila Tuesday, kata simu tupo side, giving you Kenyan music from the 254.
And of course, you can spice up your Wednesday by enjoying blazing hot hip-hop and R&B jams.
We don't got no label. She say she want bottles.
Vibes and vibes as we go all across Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, all the way to Tanzania to give you nothing but the best on Afro Thursday. Make sure you make a date with us each and every single Friday with me, DJ_Liza Diva,
DJ Colder,
and me, Wanjiko. This is Club One Extra.
On KBC Channel 1, we are a TV station like no other. Get a taste of the best in entertainment.
Yes, indeed.
Feel the passion.
Will you promise me?
I swear that you will never lose me. I can't get married to you.
I'm sure you knew about it. That's why you're making fun of me.
Experience the drama.
Get out.
Who's the man in this one?
And the laughter.
Hii wigi umevaa kichwani.
Sio wakati tulikuwa tunapishwa tunapewa mheshimiwa.
Move to the beat.
We are live from Broadcasting House.
And get informed on the latest happenings. KBC Channel 1.
Wow. Yeah!
We are the full package.
Oh, yes.
And Kenya's watching.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Watu kila mtu ana kazi yake.
Tani leo.
Wewe kichwa chako inaendaga mbele ama urudi reverse?
Side by side.
Unajua kupika nani?
Paka fata mimi nimewapikia. Mimi najua kupika chakula aina mingi sana.
Do you even know the types of honey?
Nimesaitisha order. Nobody's talking, nobody's doing anything.
Mbuzi vulai, yani ngod. Yenye ni vulai, ye mbunzi.
Mmeka iliki hapa.
Iye iliki. Ukaka unajua utanirudishia pesa zangu wewe.
Mata mwache kuzinda ukinibanya banyimu kwa...
Thank you for joining us on Healthy Living. Stay connected to Voice of America at voanews.com. A look at your kidneys and how they impact your health. And an expert discusses chronic kidney disease and how to protect yourself. And Ivorian psychologist Noor Bakayoko shares some insights on bullying and what can be done.
It's important to avoid major events or major health crises.
How do you know if your cough is due to a serious condition? We'll have some answers. Stay well and strive to make every day a healthy day.
Technology has become a crucial part of our society. Without technological advancements, so much of our everyday lives would be drastically different. As technology develops, it strives to fulfill the changing needs of society. This means that technology exists to help us achieve the things that we wouldn't be able to achieve without it. Take on Tech looks at the advantages and downside of technological innovation in a world that is becoming increasingly dependent on new digital technologies. Every Monday at 10:30 p.m.
Julia, don't shout in my name and take your money. Take.
Thank you for nothing.
They also you thank you for nothing.
Who are you calling down the head?
What else should I call you?
You will stop calling me funny names. Unasikia? I will beat the living daylights out of you.
Nothing is fine until you pay me my money. You know that money was for something very important.
How much, if I may ask?
This is between me and her.
I will already take her hand if she gives me the phone.
In your nightmare.
Okay, in my nightmare, okay.
The young generation awakens on Y254, the leading youth TV station in Kenya. We treat you to current affairs, entrepreneurship, health, and human interest conversations.
It's art, it's culture.
Movies, gossip and trends, sports,
Drama.
We bring you a vibe like no other, straight to your living room.
to keep you informed, inspired, entertained, and most of all, refreshed.
We are such a vibe.
Y254. Imagine. Thank you for joining us on Healthy Living. Stay connected to Voice of America at voanews.com. A look at your kidneys and how they impact your health. And an expert discusses chronic kidney disease and how to protect yourself. And Ivorian psychologist Noor Bakayoko shares some insights on bullying and what can be done.
It's important to avoid major events or major health crises.
How do you know if your cough is due to a serious condition? We'll have some answers. Stay well and strive to make every day a healthy day.
I never heard the music so sweet. I repeat.
Wagwan, me brethren, big things are going. Remember, each and every Monday we have to shell down the place with nothing but the best of smooth way the vibes in your favorite station. You know these things.
Alafu kila Tuesday, kata simu tupo side, giving you Kenyan music from the 254.
And of course, you can spice up your Wednesday by enjoying blazing hot hip-hop and R&B jams.
We don't got no label. She say she want bottles.
Vibes and vibes as we go all across Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, all the way to Tanzania to give you nothing but the best on Afro Thursday. Make sure you make a date with us each and every single Friday with me, DJ_Liza Diva,
DJ Colder,
and me, Wanjiko. This is Club One Extra.
unanifanya nisikie kunyongwa. Hadija ai, money especially ukisonga.
Okay, good morning. Welcome back. It's now time for us to get into the political arena and fight it. It's Kenyans, not literally so, but politically, because that's what we do best. I have my guest already in studio on this beautiful Monday, 2nd day of December 2024. Welcome to the Good Morning Kenya. My name is Victor Lo. Please talk to me on @Victor at KBC Channel 1, and my guest will tell me or tell you their social media handle. Doctor, do you have a social media handle to start with you?
Of course I do.
Okay, what's your social media handle?
Dr. Evelyn Ogendo.
All right.
Yeah.
You can also engage her, as well as Wakili, Gibson Gisore.
Yes.
You're also on social media.
Just by what you have said, Gisore everywhere. Gibson
That's it.
Gisore everywhere.
Yes.
Yes.
And Engineer Christmas. I doubt whether he is on social media. I doubt, but okay, let me not speak for him. Are you?
I think I'm there, so they search Christmas, but they'll find me.
A high case of doubt.
He thinks he's there.
When was the last time you logged into your social media to interact with people out there?
I peruse Facebook, Twitter, but I don't post so much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Gesore asked me whether I was at the Sean Paul's concert. Were you there? I saw someone like you. Go from a distance.
No, we have left that to the Gen Zs.
I see.
The Gen Zs took over.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, we need entertainment. I think this year has gone so fast. I think we've been so busy as a nation. Let me start with you. I mean, we've been here through the year, and I must thank you, all of you. I must thank all of you. We've walked a long journey. Doctor, what has stood out for you? We are on the 2nd day of December. I mean, the year is over. That's the other day we were celebrating New Year, and here we are now. We are going for festive. What has been out there for you since January? Let's just pick it from there.
So much has been out there.
Yeah.
But I'd just like to politically just to pick up what has been happening.
Go ahead.
So many big changes took place, which we all know. And I think, for using maybe the Gen Z language, the syllabus for this year, the political syllabus has run so fast. You know, it's everything here, there. You know, when you want to settle down, this is my CS, this is my PS, it keeps on changing. So you don't know how long that is going to happen. But well, to point out, yesterday was marked 40 years since the first HIV victim was reported, and the celebration went on well. I realized there's so much awareness being created apparently, and more is needed to do. And I think the stigma that was there before, it's kind of manageable, and it's being handled in a more better way. And I also realized the young generation, they are more prone to, because I saw like 70-something, 73%, between 15 years and 35. That is so alarming, because that is the lucrative age that brings change to any country or to any economy. That is the energy that is needed to make our country move, and that is the age group that is so much threatened by the HIV infection. Yeah.
Okay, great. Wakili, the year is coming to an end.
Yes.
Syllabus imekimbia sana, according to what Dr. said.
Yes, I think I would want to agree on that with the Daktari, and of course acknowledge that this year has been a mixed bag of beans for Kenyans. I think constitutionally we can be able to attest to the fact that we've been able to see one of the things which has never happened. The finance bill was rejected. It has never been rejected since independence. I don't know any country in the world which rejects their finance bill, but we did as Kenyans. And then, of course, the Gen Z's, the Gen Z event was an illustrious one, where we also realized that there's so much power in our youth, and as much as we thought that they were laid back and conservative, they were watching things from the background, and their time came, and they also put their best foot forward.
Yeah. And
of course, we lost a cabinet, and then we found one, and now we're still pushing. Constitutionally, we had one of the biggest developments recently, where we had the Supreme Court make a serious declaration in regards to public participation and policy making, which of course, to some quarters in the legal circles do argue that that of course rolled back the developments which we have been able to have from the start of the Constitution 2010. So it will take also some time for us to actually, or it might also need a new bench when the Supreme Court people, you know, they keep retiring and we keep bringing new, when we have fresh minds, maybe to relook at that decision, because that decision needs to be revisited as far as most legal quarters are concerned. We have had several situations, of course, other than the Supreme Court when we lost the finance bill 2023, while we were still in 2024, and the 2022 one. So it was quite a mix of developments which, as Kenyans, we need. We actively pursued the public participation square, and then of course it was rolled back. So we as Kenyans, I think we need to be watchful as we move forward. We need to expect more developments in issues law. We need to also in the social circles or in the field. I think this is the year we won the AFCON. To be hosting the AFCON after a very long time. I don't think we have ever hosted even. So we're looking forward to that in 2027.
Oh, okay. I'll get back to that because I really want to take a look at what really happened throughout this year as we come close to the end of the year, basically what has been there and what has made the airlines. I've read that book, News Headlines that Shaped the World. Yeah, so I want to take a look at some of the things that actually shaped our country this year. So this is where we are. Engineer?
For me, I think locally as a country, we've not really found the right footing for this administration. We've been very busy with policies here and there, policy changes here and there. We've been very busy in making pronouncements, but I think the country has not yet found its right footing economically, politically, to be able to give that sense of direction that Kenya ought to give, not just to its people, but to the region. We are still struggling to identify ourselves with the kind of policies the Kenya Kwanza administration is trying to bring on board in terms of how those policies can be accepted by the people.
That is questionable.
Yes, we still have to really ask the Kenya Kwanza administration, where is the gap? Is it in terms of communication? Is it in terms of appreciating the challenges Kenyans are facing and how best they can be able to marry the challenges Kenyans are facing and the policies they want to bring on board? So in terms of us as a country moving forward, we are still not yet there, because if you compare other, this is the midterm of the Kenya Kwanza administration. So 30 months down the line, they should be able to find the right direction to take this country, because all they are left with are 2 years, effectively, because the last year, probably very little will be done. But they are left with 2 years to be able to demonstrate to the country that they are able, they have used the 5 terms that they were given to be able to ask for a second term. So I beg the question, how will they be able to come to us if they don't take advantage of the 2 years? And I wonder how they'll be able to do that, because I've not seen any administration that has struggle in their midterm, being able to overcome those challenges and win successfully 2027. I mean, the second election. The other highlight is the election of Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And many people thought that he would not be elected as president, being he was convicted, and the other many issues that he was facing before the election. It's an interesting scenario that now Kenya and America have elected presidents who at the time of their elections were either facing trial or have already faced trial and being convicted. Going forward as a country, I am looking forward to the young people sustaining the momentum of demanding for change and proper governance in this country, because they are the hope of this nation. 2027, majority of them, I hope they can be able to participate in the election, both in participating as leaders who are seeking elections, and also contributing their votes, because they have a huge vote basket that they have not utilized effectively in terms of making the right decision for this country. So we look forward to them getting registered as voters, participating, pushing the civil education agenda in this country, which is really lacking. Many Kenyans are not understanding the importance of proper governance, on how what their role is in terms of achieving that. So we need the young people to continue educating the masses in terms of good governance, and we hope this country will be better as we move forward.
As we move to the 2025.
Victor, just to add,
yeah, go ahead.
I think there are two key things which I forgot to highlight. Just to add on what he said, we lost our deputy president, and we also found one politically. So that was a very interesting thing. You see how forgetful Kenyans
major
are.
changes.
That was very major.
I was waiting for that.
Yeah.
That is the
and
most
then,
recent
of course, internationally, we also became an unaligned, the only African country. I don't think even in Europe, because in Europe they have NATO. We only came outside Europe. At the Americas, we became the only non-aligned NATO country to be attached to the US, and we're yet to see what that brings to the table of Kenyans. So those were very phenomenal changes which we got to recognize.
Beautiful. We've talked about the Rigije, that is his nickname right now. His ouster, the finance bill flopped, and now there's some recommendations to be, taken to parliament, taken to courts, and there's a lot also happening around the Gen Z effect. In June, we've never seen that. The world actually caught a flu because Kenya sneezed. Raila is also going for the AU seat, something that is the speed at which he's running. He's getting some support. He's heading to Djibouti, where he's now the home turf of his main opponent. We're just going to see, because now 32 out of 45. I don't know whether Baba is going to get this, but we're going to take a look at that right now.
We need
have
to hit
the
the 36 mark.
Exactly.
Just to beyond the 34 required.
I mean, it's... I want to be here.
Even 35, not bad.
Somebody said that Baba is...
But it's risky.
Yeah. Okay, let me take a look at the front page of the local dailies. Chirchir and Kagwe top list for interior docket. That is on the front page of the Star newspaper. Chirchir and Kagwe top list for interior docket. Hiring presents head of state with dilemma as more communities express interest. Now that is, this actually is now Musalia Mudavadi who is holding that position on an interim basis. The president's move appears to be a strategic attempt to pacify the restless Mount Kenya region. And we have got four gentlemen here. Musalia Mudavadi, who is the cabinet's chief prime cabinet secretary, I beg your pardon, transport CS, Davis Chirchir, ex-health CS, Mutahi Kagwe, and Kikuyu MP Kimani Ichung'wah. Their names have been floated here. And remember, that position of PSS have also been advertised. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Who said syllabus is moving so fast?
The syllabus is, the political syllabus is...
we need to ask Daktari and the engineer apply.
I mean...
When is it expiring? I need to apply that.
4th.
On 4th?
Yes.
When is it? Let me look for my chapter 6 tomorrow. Tomorrow is on 3rd.
It will be 3rd, yes.
Yeah. So if it's on 4th, I'm going to apply.
You need to apply. We don't have people from KC.
It's on the advert. I thought so.
Yeah, it was a gazette notice.
Yeah.
In all the newspapers.
Okay, in those listed there, is there anybody from KC?
No list yet.
There's no list.
And
They're still applying.
The deadline is on 4th. So
no,
you still
on those for the CS interior.
No.
Do we have anybody from that region?
We have Mutai Kagwe, Kimani Shungwa, Davis Chirchir, and Honorable Musalia Mudavadi. So you can apply for the position of the PSS.
You can also go for that. We've never had anybody from KC fill that docket.
Yeah, we've had Matiang'i.
Oh, yeah, of course. Recently, yes.
Matiang'i was a CS. PS.
No, you've talked about CS.
The PSS position, which was advertised.
Oh, the PS, not CS.
Yes,
oh.
CS. But that position of the CS is also still vacant.
Yeah, because of the deputy president.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
we have 2 vacancies
top list for the interior docket.
That docket.
We have 2 vacancies of CSs, gender and
exactly.
And
yeah.
interior.
Yeah. You can apply for that.
Let me choose one. I think gender will do. And meanwhile,
but the CSs are not advertised. It's the PSs that are.
Oh yeah, that is
the CS is an appointee of the president.
Yes.
Yeah, so you need to lobby
you need to lobby
House.
with your people in Kisii.
Oh, you first apply and then they lobby.
So what do you make of this? Let me start with you, Engineer. Chirchir and Kagwe top list for interior docket. And apparently, it appears this is a strategic move to attempt to pacify the restless Mount Kenya. So when you have got Chirchir and Kagwe, how is this going to pacify the restless Mount Kenya region?
Well, Chirchir would be the natural choice because, you know, this is a seat where you want somebody you can trust. It is a seat where the security of the nation is restored by that person in that office.
Yeah.
And therefore, you don't want a person who you cannot trust, somebody who can use that office to undermine your authority, somebody in the event there are any attempts to break law and order, will be able to do whatever it takes to make sure that the country is safe. So I believe Chirchir makes the natural choice. But then also the president has shown that he's trying to bring the nation together. So I don't know if Kagwe nominated is bringing the nation together. So those 2 choices are political choices. In terms of trying to win the mountain, and the other side, having somebody he can be able to trust and govern this country without any fear. For Kagwe, if he was to be nominated, it would to some extent show probably Raila's influence through Azimio and Uhuru Kenyatta might be part of that arrangement. But we are yet to see. Kagwe was mentioned as DP the other time. Now he's being mentioned as Interior CS. Probably there are some discussions that are going on. For that name to be mentioned twice in the last 2 months, it suggests that something serious is happening towards nominating Kagwe or bringing Kagwe into the civil into the government of Kagwe.
When you have Kimani Shungu is the majority leader in the National Assembly, do you think he would actually leave that position to go for Interior CS? I mean, that position is also quite pivotal for the Mount Kenya region. Wakili?
Honestly, I think it's not a decision to make. I mean, there has been also talk in town that that seat is supposed to go to ODM. So in the event that is the case, they need to appease him with something else. So that is the reason I think why they will want to mention him in that particular circle. Whether he will be comfortable and whether he will be able to serve competently, I think he has the ear of the president, so the president wouldn't need to doubt whether he will perform to his interest, but whether he will be able to serve Kenyans to the level which we expect, we will need to give him the seat first to be able to know. Essentially, to also loop in the other 2 you've talked about.
That is Kagwe and
Chirchir.
Yeah.
Chirchir, I would want to agree with the engineer that it could be the natural choice, but as to, you see, that seat from what I look at is it needs somebody who is very agile. Chirchir is a bit reserved and his movements are quite in a bit of a slow pace. That thing, you know, if something gets up, you need to wake up in Turkana, then finish in Lamu in a day's work. So I don't know whether, from what I see, I've not seen him whether he likes moving around the country that fast. So whether he will change with the seat, even with the transport seat, I mean, rarely do he, and that is a camera shy person. I will want to say that because I rarely addresses the media. As opposed to, I mean, Kindiki.
Are you trying to make a comparison?
Yes, I'm trying to draw a comparison and also try to create competencies and of course the challenges which we might face. Of course, Kawe would be good for giving statements. You know, that's a very volatile seat. But as to whether he will serve competently, the jury is still out. We saw him in the health.
Okay.
He was good at giving a PC. Kenyans are telling them, you know, we are sure we are good. So, but for a person to execute the mission competently, I think Chirchir stands
All right.
out.
If you don't get it, all right. All right, let's take a break. I'll come back to you, Dr. Give me your opinion. Okay, let's take a break. We'll be back with more. Stay with us.
The Kenya Medical Training College, KMTC, is delighted to announce its 93rd graduation ceremony scheduled for Thursday, December 5th, 2024 at the Moi International Sports Center, Kasarani, Nairobi from 8 a.m. Graduates are reminded to pay a non-refundable graduation fee of 4,000 shillings using the payment details provided on the screen. Graduation gowns can be collected at the college headquarters, and the graduation booklet is available for download on the KMTC website. For more details on the graduation, training programs, intakes and application procedures, visit www.kmtc.ac.ke. KMTC, training for better health. Technology has become a crucial part of our society. Without technological advancements, so much of our everyday lives would be drastically different. As technology develops, it strives to fulfill the changing needs of society. This means that technology exists to help us achieve the things that we wouldn't be able to achieve without it. Take on Tech looks at the advantages and downside of technological innovation in a world that is becoming increasingly dependent on new digital technologies. Every Monday at 10:30 p.m.
All right. Karibu sana. So I also have my cup of tea. Actually, it's coffee. So we are good to go. All right. Dr. We talked about this one and just trying to analyze the four gentlemen here. Give me a quick analysis.
According to me, you know, the docket of Interior, apparently it's the one that almost runs a country. The security of a country, that there's so much, government operations and other functions. So the person who has to be appointed to that seat has to be somebody who the president did not start trusting yesterday. It has to have historical trust, that and that person has to look like the I'm not saying the other people are not reliable, but he fully has to trust this person because it's a very sensitive seat.
Yeah.
It deals with everybody's else security, including himself. So even if Mount Kenya is restless, as it's being referred to, I don't think the seat should go to anybody in Mount Kenya. But Churchill will be well suited because I think they have a long history with the president. And plus, this seat, I don't know. Other than Dr. Matiang'i, the rest who have been on those seats, they are dying under mysterious circumstances. And it elicits a lot of, questions like what really happens on this seat. But that's my contribution. I don't think anybody else suits there. About Kagwe, he did very well. According to me, he did very well in the health docket. Maybe if it's going to go through Baba for him to be rewarded, maybe another position, but not interior. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think you can just wake up and give somebody such a strong. It's like, you remember Dr. Matiang'i was almost like running this country.
Exactly.
I think you remember that.
Yeah.
And he would make decisions
so much on behalf of the president.
And he would make the president actually make decisions based on what his analysis is about security and other functions. So I don't think it's the interior docket is any docket you can just reward. Yeah, and or maybe you can start lobbying this region wants this. No, other seats you can talk about regions complaining and wanting a share. Like now the Kisii region, the way we keep on complaining that we are not well represented in Dr. Williams Samoei's is cabinet, and but not the interior. I think that docket the president entirely has power to make a decision without being pushed or without any too much lobbying. Yeah.
Okay, so let's come back. I'll take you through the front page of other local dailies shortly. But as we come to the close of the year, there is something that I want us to take a look. Where is IBC?
Who told me they are reinstated?
Do you know that Banisa has not had any representation for 2 years now, constituency?
And don't have an MC as it stands.
And in other wards, several wards across the country. As per the law, Wakili, guide us here. And I throw this back to you. The moment the cabinet secretaries were nominated to the cabinet, let's start with Opiyo Wandayi. That seat ought to have fell vacant with immediate effect.
Yes.
It has not been declared vacant.
That's the speaker's undoing. He should have declared that immediately.
So let me just ask this question. So where are we as a nation in terms of the commission? And is the IBC, the way it is currently constituted, fit to be in that office fully to discharge? Because they say there are so many court cases still hindering, the running of that commission the way it's supposed to be, the picking of the commissioners, etc., etc. Allow me to ask you, start this for us. What now happens for a country where we are currently in case there is an emergency? I don't want to speak I don't want to say which emergency. But where we are today, what would happen?
What I need to say is that we are in a constitutional crisis in regards to IBC, because we ought to have had those people in office already. Just to add on what you've said, we also have a situation whereby we need to review our boundaries.
Yes,
which has not been done. By now, we ought to have done that. We ought to have done that. Now we don't have an IBC which can competently do that job. As to whether the people in office can be able to serve, yes, we have seen them serve because we have a secretariat which is fully constituted. The only people we don't have are the commissioners. But the secretariats can be able to do some basic jobs, and we have seen them do that. So as to the issue of representation and of course, which is a very core mandate of IBC declaring people who are supposed to represent Kenyans in various quotas, we have sections like Banisa. My own MCA was thrown out and we don't have any, and another one died in the neighboring ward, and we don't have representation.
How long ago was that?
I think from when the appeals ended, my MC was already thrown out because the appeal was successful, and
that must
he's
have been
not been in office
or something.
So
last year.
we have not been represented, the people of Borabu ward.
23.
Okay.
So in Nyamira we have a crisis of 2 wards which are actually not represented in the county assembly, and we can see when development is lagging behind. Essentially, the governor should be able to come in, or the county assembly ought to have to allocate resources equivalent to the ones which are being given to the other, but we are not seeing that because we don't have somebody to fight for us or be able to speak. So that is dire in terms of governance, and that causes a lot of problems because these people do not get the equitable share which they're supposed to get, and they do not have somebody who can be able to speak and fight for their causes. So when we speak of IBC, so that is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It has been plagued by a lot of cases, and the cases now are changing hands. You have some cases look like they are sponsored to not have IBC in place. So, and that is quite worrying. We need to have even the courts rise to the occasion and demand that these cases be finished quickly, and demand accountability from the people who have actually filed those cases. That the same way the election petitions are conducted in a very fast way, we need to see the cases in regards to IBC commissioners being in place also handled at that same pace, because that we are talking about bigger things.
Yes.
Representation. If we do not have a boundary demarcation for various places of the country, then that is a constitutional mandate which has been abrogated by us not having the IBC commissioners in office.
Engineer, I've given him that because of the legal background. But then now, let's come back and ask ourselves, in a situation where we are, the discussion that happened at the Bomas, Kalonzo Musyoka was there, Kimani Mishunga was there, there were certain proposals. And Kenyans thought like, oh, wait a minute, so we are going to have commissioners. You know, they have agreed, and now it was time for Kenyans to keep the ball rolling. But now, months on end, we've not had any communication. What you're hearing are the court cases. He's given a suggestion that why don't we have certain deadlines so that some of these cases are dispensed with pretty fast, and then some kind of these sensitive dockets are also constituted, and there should no vacuum. But the question is, just that was a background, the question is, so what now happens? What's happening to us now as a country? We don't have IBC in place altogether.
And if you recall, at the height of the Gen Z's demonstrations, there was talk that the next frontier of this movement was to recall MPs. And to kickstart that mechanism would require a properly constituted IEBC. And therefore, I believe, and I want to agree with Wakili, there are forces beyond the judiciary, probably in the legislature or in government, who really don't want IEBC to be there now, because it is an inconvenience to them. Because if, for example, there was any attempt to recall any MP today, it would trigger a wave, especially, for example, in Mount Kenya region, where the ground is so hostile to members of parliament who voted yes for the impeachment of the deputy president. And such a recall would go through within a very short time. Secondly, if there was any successful recall of an MP today, it would trigger a by-election.
Yes.
And therefore, a party that would, say, for example, be constituted right now and is fashioned as a Mount Kenya party, would now be able to test one-on-one between Kenya Kwanza and itself. The way you saw in 2021 and 2022, 2021 and 2020, where UDA came in. There were just there were 3 by-elections in Nakuru, Nyandarua, and somewhere else, Kiamba, where they were able to really show their strength and influence within that region, and that translated to the successful election of William Ruto in 2022. So therefore, nobody would want to trigger this country into a by-election at this point. So they will do whatever it takes to delay the constitution of IEBC. We have had instances where even the chairman of IEBC or the commissions were brought in 6 months to the election. So therefore, they are saying it's not highly unlikely that even this time around we will get an IEBC in 2026. So Kenyans can wait. There is no pressure. They are saying Kenyans are more concerned today with economic issues, health issues, and those are the issues Kenya Kwanza is dealing with. These are the issues about IEBC. They can be managed later because it will be an inconvenience to this administration. Yes.
Because according to Article 104, the recall clause actually 2 years now over.
Yeah. Yes.
So most of these MPs, as you said, would, in case of anything. But Daktari, you know, we are in a situation where, and the two gentlemen are raising some poking holes as to why that commission is not fully in office. But everything left constant, it should be there.
I want to agree with them that it's not that there are no people to be appointed to those seats, to those positions. I think it is strategically, this is where they are applying their strategic management skills. Because you can imagine the hostility from the Gen Z time about the finance bill. You know, there's that, there are those who voted yes. And now, and they battled Mount Kenya also. And then there are those who voted, there are those who voted for the ouster of the Deputy President, Reggie. So they will be on a revenge mission. The rest, if that commission can be balanced, there will be a revenge mission in the next 3 years. So we'll be handling by elections until we are not going to do anything in this country anymore. Yeah. So I think it is strategic, and one way or another it works for or against other people. But if you ask me, we are not in the right state to have a balanced IEBC, though. You know, though there are those like Wakilia said about the word where it comes from. There are many more, I think, also. There are up to 8, I think, that are running without members of county assembly. And for Honorable Undanyi for not to step down, I think it's also strategic in the sense that it's going to be vacant. It's just going to be vacant. So I don't know how it's happening, whether he's working on 2 positions. So I don't know how that is working, but it's upon them to translate the constitution and what it allows to happen or not to happen. So all said and done, I think we have too much as a country. You know, we don't even know what to complain about, but yeah, you know, there's a way you are just so crowded with problems, and then all the problems, they look like they are major. You know, there's a way you prioritize. I have these problems, I want to prioritize this, but I think we need a lot of optimism, starting from the leadership and us as citizens, because if we crowd ourselves with our problems, it is going to mess up any other new injection of new energy, positive energy, that can move us to the next level. Now, let's talk about, you know, the main docket that run our country is the Ministry of Education, and I'd like to recommend him, not because he comes from a region. I'd like to recommend CS Migos. Is trying to bring I think reinstate the sanity of the Ministry of Education. But you saw the dons from the dons have gone back to university,
3 months,
and the stalemate in the Moi University is also been settled. I don't know how far it is with the bands, but I think slowly, you know, a step at a time, I think it's gaining a bit of quote unquote sanity, and that's what we need. And I'm really pleading with the CS for health. You know, these are main things these are main dockets that are running a country that are shaky. So it makes us become a bit afraid in terms of, has the SHA shift, has it been solved? How are people getting their medication? Is there a flow? Look at the interns they have been doing, you know, others who are committing suicide. and because of non-payment. And now the interns are supposed to go back and work under an agreed terms, and then prevailing again, another strike of the doctors. I don't think we need that.
Yep.
We need, I think we need to pay attention to Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health. You know, we gain a bit of sanity because right now, many Kenyans, not only the physical illness, they have a lot of mental illness. You know, we people are under another, you know, we are under pressure. Sometimes we don't even understand our pressure. We need some kind of help as a country. So if we can start prioritizing and and also the PSC, and also to also think about how do we, because okay, the Gen Zs were complaining and stuff, but what has been done about it? What is going to happen about, we should be thinking about, okay, the country is of course strained on the wage bill and other issues, but how can we make sure that our young people are getting jobs?
Yeah.
How about reducing the retirement age? How about trying not to give any contracts to retirees? How about that? You know, the joblessness, the health, the education. I think this is what is going to run our country successfully if at all too much attention can be paid to those
Did you say reducing the retirement age?
Yeah, I talked of reducing the retirement age in the sense that we are going to create positions, because if you are to leave office through retirement, I think it is better for our younger people to get jobs. We will be solving a problem.
Who wants to go home at the age of 55?
You see, this, you know, let's talk about it like this, Victor. Now, this is somebody has left university.
But you think that's
somebody has left university, let's say at the age of 23, 24.
Yeah.
That is the time they graduate. Or any other college, maybe the college, maybe diploma or certificate, has left job at an age of 22, 23. Let's talk of 25 below. Are you saying?
Yeah.
Somebody is in office. If this person gets a job, you know, these are people who are getting into starting families. Are you saying? But somebody who is about 40, I'm not saying the retirement age reduced to 40, that will be a bit low, but 50, 55 can be a good retirement age to give these children space also to begin their families. Remember, by the time you are 50, you are handling grandchildren. And when somebody is looking for this job, is yet to marry, is yet to get married and be stable and be able to support his or her family. So if we say that we want the old people to also remain in office, so it means we are sacrificing a younger generation that is going to impact our economy. I'm not saying the old people have no impact. They do, but they are in a position in their families. Their children have finished school. Yeah, they have finished college,
the good thing
school.
Is that
yes.
Wakili doesn't have to retire. He's a lone ranger. I mean,
no, we are talking of mainstream.
I understand.
Yeah,
the
mainstream and even in the private sectors, we should have some laws protecting the employment of the young people.
Okay, let's come back to the discussion. There is this question of Banisa. And Wakili, allow me to ask you this question. So now what happens to Banisa? For 2 years now, they've not had any representation. Their cases from the constituency, different wards, are not presented to different assemblies, either in the county or National Assembly. So what happens in this case? Can somebody go to court and challenge the government? Who can vote a challenge?
Actually, they need to challenge the government, because now it's really the government which is letting them down. Because how do you even oversee the NGCDF? Because people expect to be represented, ensure that development happens to the ground and such things. So these people are missing out. Most probably the NGCDF board was was removed from the control of the MPs, but the MPs are the people who are the patrons. And being the patrons, more or less, they run. They actually don't perform the conservative patronage, which was supposed to be anticipated. They actually oversee the kitty as if it's running from their own pockets. So we expect, because one thing which we also need to look, the MP understands the ground better.
Yes.
You don't get people from Nairobi here to go and decide which ward needs to be, its road to be be marramed, because it will, of course, that will happen. But then the needs of the people, how you bring these needs to the people, because an MP has an office in the constituency where all these questions go, and then you can be able to decide and talk to the board to see how the monies are allocated. We have the board, which is at the national level, and then the constituency level one, which essentially now sits and collates all the needs of the people so that the allocation is given. So now it will need a lot of concerted effort between the Nairobi and the local board. And the local board, remember, is the one which was in the former regime.
Yes.
Because we have not had a new one, given that the MP should be able to oversee that process. So we have people who are serving for the second time, who maybe with the interest of the former government will want to continue the same way they were running. So the aspect of election has not actually been able to be realized by the people of Banisa or the constituencies or wards which are not well represented by members of parliament or MCAs, because elections are supposed to bring in new blood, supposed to remove the former biases.
Yes.
So the former biases are still with them. So that negates or takes away their right to representation or proper representation or renewal of leaders, because for them nothing has changed. Still the same way.
Okay.
If the board chairman of the NGCDF in the local ground did not like you, he wouldn't like you in the next office period. You won't. So you're likely not to get the scholarship or the funding which you
out
needed.
Of curiosity, now that some of these, I'm using Banisa as a classic example, because for 2 years now they've not had any representation because of IBC is not in place. But the question is now, how, whoever will be suing the government on what terms? That is number one. Two, they have not had a representation because the commission is not in office fully, actually, to run an election in that constituency. So what would happen to them in this case? You've talked about NGCDF, that is number one. Of course, the woman rep cannot, undertake the duties of a member of parliament. A woman rep is for the entire county, right?
Yes.
Exactly. So that position does not belong to a woman rep.
Yes.
What will Banisa say in 2027 when they go for an election? Crispus, what do they say? Because they have been marginalized for 2 years.
Well, this country, it's not that we lack representation. When you go to an election at every 5 years, you elect 5 leaders. 6 leaders, actually.
And everybody has a job description.
Exactly.
It's a duplication.
And you have these 6 leaders represent you in the same way. They look for your health. They look for your education. They look for your security.
Yeah.
They look for your roads. They look for your gender issues. The presidency provides for everything in and below. So in terms of representation, it's not that the people of Banisa lack. Because in the National Assembly, there is a women rep there who represents the entire county, and Banisa is part of that county. So she has a responsibility as she's executing her mandate for women affairs or as a women rep within the constituency of Banisa. She's able to articulate the issues of the people of Banisa. She's stepped in very well if she is able to. The MCAs are also there. The senator is also there. There is a governor and there is a president himself. So in terms of representation, we don't lack. The injustice that is happening to the people of Banisa is in the area where that person they voted, they feel that this is a person we voted as the member of the National Assembly, is lacking. Okay? So if there are certain things that he was supposed to discharge in his own capacity as a MP, those are the things that he likes. But in terms of when you go to CDF, it is run by a committee, and that committee is elected by the people. People present themselves, then they are told elect person. Then that committee chooses a chairman, a treasurer, a secretary general. In the MP's office, there is a management team, which I don't believe in Banisa it is there, because now when the MP passed away, definitely that
probably he had not even constituted his own team.
Then the board has a CDF manager who are changed every 2 years. depending on their performance. So there are enough checks and balances in terms of how the CDF can run without the MPs influencing it. There's enough representation in terms of the people we elect. What we are just saying is that the question of IEBC is deeper than Banisa.
Yeah.
It's bigger than Banisa, because right now we have issues, for example, where you saw members of parliament giving a standing ovation to the president for cancelling the Adani deal, yet they had a responsibility to listen to what Kenyans said for many months, that this deal was not good, and say no to it. Yet they were here giving a standing ovation for a process they were supporting for many months. Those are the people now IEBC should be in place. We look at them and tell them, you are failing us. We need to recall you.
Do you think they were celebrating because it was cancelled, or because
there was a sense of relief because they were supporting?
Nobody was ready to speak.
There were a sense of relief because there is a bit of fear in this parliament. They are not able to discharge their independent role. And remember, IEBC is an independent commission. Therefore, you cannot sue the government. They are not. It's not their business to have it in place. You cannot sue judiciary. It's not their business. You cannot sue the parliament. It's not their business. It's an independent commission. So in our pursuit for independent commissions, there we are fallen victim.
I get you. So which means, I get your point that perhaps the absence of IEBC is something
strategic. It is benefiting many people because a well-constituted IEBC is a thorn in the flesh. When IEBC was challenged in terms of constitution, when we had a chairman and 2 commissioners, it helped William Ruto to a great deal, because there was now in a commission of 3 people who were able to stand firm until he was elected.
Let's take a break. I want to ask a question, and perhaps you can also ponder over this, that whether it's deliberate or not, how will it affect 2027? Because now that is even on the front page of the Daily Standard here. This is what's here, ODM in Ruto dilemma. That's all about 2027. I mean, the drumbeats are already here, whether ODM should be in government next year, in 2027, or ODM to support President William Ruto in the next race. We'll be taking a look at that and much more when we come back after this. Stay with us. Today we are talking about where is IEBC, right? All right, stay with us. Good morning.
Hawa tu kila mtu ana kazi yake.
Mitani leo
Wewe kitu wako inaendaga mbele ama urudi reverse?
Side by side.
Unajua kupika nani?
Mpaka fathers mimi nimewapikia. Mimi najua kupika chakula aina mingi sana.
Do you even know the types of food? Nimesaidia order. Nobody's talking, nobody's doing anything.
Hii mbuzi fulai, yani ngoat. Yenye ni fulai, yembunzi.
Mmeka iliki hapa.
Iye iliki. Ukaka unajua utanirudishia pesa zangu wewe.
Mata mwache kuzinda ukinivanya vanya kwa.
Julia, stop shouting my name and take your money. Take.
Thank you for nothing.
They also you thank you for nothing.
Who are you calling down the head?
What else should I call you?
You will stop calling me funny names. Unasikia? I will beat the living daylights out of you.
Nothing is fine until you pay me my money. You know that money was for something very important.
How much if I may ask?
This is between me and her.
I will already take her hand if she gives me the phone.
In your nightmare.
Okay, in my nightmare, okay.
All right, welcome back. So the question is, so what happens? So there is a lacuna. Daktari, of course, the Constitution did not envisage a situation where, you know, in the absence of a member of parliament or representation of any constituency, then somebody can step in. There is a complete darkness in that provision.
You see, clearly, what is happening in Banisa, and you see, it's not even, you said some wards in his county also do not have members of county assembly. It's a wide picture, a clear picture to show you that there is a lot of duplication of functions. Because, you know, in that constituency, there's a governor. Like the way engineer said it, there's a governor. This governor gives bursaries across board. I think takes care of the, you know, will not come that this constituency does not have a member of parliament, so I am not going to come up with a nice hospital. I'm not going to equip the hospital. I'm not going to make sure the hospital has drugs and stuff. I think so. It means that we have a lot of duplication of functions that ends up working for us in absence of. You know, even an MCA can, like that member of parliament, is 2 years.
Yes.
You see, you have not seen anything glaring from the people, like that there's something very bad that has happened. If it is bursaries, I'm sure they are busy receiving those bursaries. If it's the healthcare, they are receiving their services. So what is the main difference? Because, you know, right now, you see a president is in charge of a whole country.
Yeah.
Where a governor, a senator, a woman rep, member of parliament, MCA, it's still in charge of the same people. That's why there was that discussion about, let's say, these funds, especially for education, being in a common kitty, or it goes straight to school. I think, because you are simply taking care of the same people 6 times. 6 times. So like Banisa is only missing one, which is so insignificant. Everything else is going on. Because, you know, the governor will not decide that this constituency does not have a member of parliament, or this ward does not have a member of county assembly, so hence they are not going to get facilities, hence they are not going to get the bursaries. No, it doesn't work like that. Yeah.
But then, Wakil, when you look at the independence of these constitutions, it now brings that question, because as you correctly said, if a voter had to sue somebody, who are they going to sue? Not the National Assembly, not the Speaker, not the President, not the Judiciary. But then it also tests the independence of these constitutions. That what happens when these these commissions are not fully constituted? What is the level of the independence?
I think I would want to come in and be able to say that it does not mean that the constitution being independent actually means that they are fully independent, and once they don't have commissioners, then you don't have somebody to sue. There is always somebody to sue. There is always somebody to be responsible. There is always somebody where the buck stops. And that goes without saying that if you want to sue the government, you sue the Attorney General. So they can be able to sue the Attorney General for lack of representation. Then the Attorney General can be able to act for government. To act for government and answer those questions. In any case, if you sue any government body, you have to sue the Attorney General. The IBC itself has a secretariat which is fully alive and well, and they even have a legal officer who can be able to also come in and give in representation. They have being an independent body, they have advocates. Every time we see them in court, they have well-trained, a team of well-equipped lawyers to represent them in terms of the election petitions. They can also be contracted to come in and appear for them. So there is somebody to sue. People of Panisa or anybody or any place in the country where representation is lacking, they can be able to follow that particular channel and be able to sue the ABC itself, because it's a corporate body. It can be able to represent itself, having been an independent body. You can sue the Attorney General for lack of representation at the National Assembly. Then even the National Assembly itself has a panel of lawyers who we saw them being represented in the Rigati issue. So there's always somebody to sue. We don't like people to sue in issues of constitution. Having said that, I would also want to weigh in on the aspect of representation. It's good my co-panelists are agreeing in concert that we are overrepresented. But then there's the aspect of distinct role. It's akin to a family, an extended family where we have a grandfather, father, mother, and all that, all our life. But then you lose your father. These people, however much they will want to come in and help, there's always somewhere you will be lacking. You don't have a father.
Yeah.
And the father, what is the role of a father? He's the head of the family. So once he's missing, he's missing. Your uncle will not come in and replace him competently the way he used to. Your aunties or your grandfather cannot be able to stand into the exact boot levels which your father was representing. Even if they come in fully, then the aspect of emotional conscience also is missing, and that is what the people of Banisa should be crying for. That we have been denied our constitutional aspect of representation in Parliament.
Okay.
When the national cake is being decided, for example, if you want roads, it's the member of Parliament plays a critical role in terms of going to push for these roads, because that is your share. When you like a specific road which is within the mandate, not all the roads, within the mandate, there are those ones which are within the mandate of the member of Parliament. The neighboring member of Parliament will not come and bargain for you. You need to go, it needs to be in Parliament and push for allocation of monies.
Yeah.
Which cannot be done by the governor, which cannot be done by the senator because they are not within their mandate. There are specific roles which are very critical to these particular issues. The same thing to the MCA. And that's why I'm saying that we are suffering. The road to my home is now impassable because I don't have an MCA to question and ask. You can't find the governor to ask him. Senator is all over. He says that is not my role. So there are specific core things which are really entangled with these particular representatives, which they have to be in place to be able to fight. And then you need to have somebody to question. In case they fail, you have somebody to blame so that they go out of office. Now, in this event, if something is not working, then you have nobody to ask or to blame. So that is the kind of thing we are talking about. And you cannot wish it away that we have an amalgam of leaders.
All right.
Kenyans are very evasive, especially when it comes to leadership. They will always run and say, that's not my docket.
Okay, we have been in this country for some time. And Engineer, is this position a poisoned kind of position? We've had, in all the commissions we have in the country, IBC has had, we have IBC, we had the Kivuitu Commission, I'm forgetting the name, but every electoral cycle, the Electoral Commission is the most fought or contested commission in this country. Yes, we have so many commissions, but why is it that the Electoral Commission is the most fought after?
You know, the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission is the most important organ in terms of determining who is the sole custodian of power in this country after every 5 years. And when you have this power over the reins of this country, you control not just this country, but even the region and everybody who wants to do business in Kenya and in the region. So you can imagine being the president of Kenya, and the only one organ that can deny you that opportunity is this one, IEBC. So whoever is in power today knows very well, the more I delay this organ, the better for me. And if I create it at the last minute in a way that it will conveniently be disorganized and sneak me through to power, it's the best thing I can do. Because all the successful elections that we've had, IBC I'm still stuck at conveniently disorganized. All the successful elections we've had, IBC has arrived there late, disorganized.
They don't have kitty.
They don't have money, or the money is too much. They don't even know how to handle it. You get it, So we need to understand that it is not about the IEBC, it's about the presidency and the power it brings. So whoever is in power or wants to seek power will want a disorganized IEBC, and when it is organized, it is not able to deliver a good job. So let us just agree. This is who we are as a country.
Okay. Actually, I was just looking at the Kivitu. Kivitu led the Electoral Commission. That was the ECK, Electoral Commission of Kenya.
Yeah.
And then we had the Isaac Hassan. Isaac Hassan also was hounded out of office. Then we also had, you know, the last IBC commissioners. I mean, you've talked about how critical this commission is, but then now we are also looking at a position where every Kenyan is supposed to be represented. The commissioners must be in office, and there is a lacuna in that constitution, whether it's by default or not. Wakili, this one goes back to you people now, and whether parliamentarians will be ready to fix that lacuna in the constitution, because perhaps you said, okay, I don't want to go back there. But, Dr. Look at it this way, as we finalize on this topic. So what happens in 2027? We don't have IBC right now. Either it will be reconstituted sometimes next year. They start talking about, you know, delimitation of boundary, which is way, way past. We don't have that. They want to do by elections, you know, there's no funds. They need to do civic education. They need to do all manner of things. So what will happen?
You know, even what is happening right now, there's no problem in appointing the commissioners.
Yeah.
But like engineer said, the conveniency of their absence still has to prevail. And if this country, what I think I've been in Kenya for more than 40 years now, being a citizen. If they want to do anything, see how fast the deputy president was ousted. Everything is possible in this country. Trust you me, within a week, you can have all the commissioners on board and everything on board and working. So when they unlock the conveniency, everything will fall in place. I don't think we have any reason to worry. The only thing we need to worry about is for how long is the convenience supposed to work. So when that expiry time comes, doesn't matter when, it can be 6 months to election of 2027, but everything will be in place. Just be sure that we're not going to have any gaps. We're not going to have any gaps because this is a strategic move. So when they unlock the stalemate or the convenience, things are going to fall back in place, and we are going to go to an election like nothing happened.
Okay. All right. So I'm reminded that I should take you through the front page of the other two remaining papers. On the front page of the Standard, ODM in Ruto dilemma. ODM in Ruto dilemma. That is also the front page of the Standard newspaper. Okay. And it says that officials of opposition party are split on whether to back President William Ruto or field a candidate in the next election, while Raila Odinga has said the party will field a candidate, or candidates for that matter. Some feel that it would be a better gamble to back the current government and wait for another 5 years. Evelyn, Dr.
You know what I've realized in the political atmosphere?
Yes.
What I've learned, politicians work better under pressure. You know, these things do not just work like that. That I've joined you now, we are in broad-based, now we are sailing through. You have to be put in a catch-22 for you to think straight politically. You know, thinking straight politically means making hard decisions. Like, you know, the PSS have, they have been advertised. Yeah. And I think the ODM, strategically, they are rather, we are playing our part well. Because, you know, it's not easy. You're in government, you're moving me in government as a subsidiary. That is not going to happen. And like, don't go to the bedroom and sleep. You got to do something about it. I think what the ODM, what the idea is, ideally they are playing their role very well. And I'd like to congratulate them to make those decisions because it's not easy. You know, for you to get representation for your region, you must come up with, you have to put somebody under pressure. Politicians don't work better when put under pressure, under some kind of pressure. And the decision they make through Baba, I think that is what will prevail. Because apparently, you know, ODM is also a very big party. Yeah. That runs across board. I think it's only minimal in Mount Kenya, And I think that's in order. Let them make that decision.
It's both hot and cold, politically speaking. Because
it's hot and cold.
Yes, last week...
Nobody's supposed to sleep. Nobody's supposed to sit there and imagine things are happening. Checks and balances.
When you also what happened last week, the president has visited Kisumu now several times, including last week when he was in Kondele, and he was giving that, that heroic welcome. And a few days later, Raila Odinga says that no, ODM is going to field a candidate. So this is how politics is played.
Yeah, that's how it's played.
Wakili, we look at the reception in Kondele, and the president had a very good time in Kisumu, and then the neighboring county of Vihiga, Raila says, no, 27, we are here. So
I think
it's confusing. Yes,
Raila has been put in a proper catch-22 position where he's been pushed to African Union Commission. Then suddenly his party is pushed into the government. Suddenly his party luminaries are making very friendly decisions on behalf of government. He's losing his mainstay, which is being the opposition leader. We are 2 years down the election. He's not sure about African Union. He's going to win. If he doesn't win, what is he coming back to? Is he coming back as a prime minister of the Kenya Kwanza government or not? Or is coming as an opposition leader? Because he cannot just sit there with Mudavadi being senior than him, having lost the African Union chairmanship. So there is a lot of inboxing and marshalling here and there. And that's why he's saying, wait a minute, we are not yet in government, because he has not been given proper guarantees that in the event I lose the African Union seat, I am not coming here to be in a matatu. I am coming back to be somewhere in government, and I need that position well secured. If it means removing Mudavadi and putting me there, we work together so that we can prepare ourselves for 2027, the better. For me, I see a possibility of Ruto Raila candidature 2027 if he doesn't go for the AU, or somebody nominated by Raila being part of that coalition. But obviously Raila cannot be seated.
Can never be second fiddle.
Cannot be seated out there doing nothing.
So now what happens? Wakili, because look at it this way. ODM will field a candidate in 2027. We don't know who. But they're also in government.
Yeah, you see, this is a marriage of convenience. Until it's concretized. And that is, I think, where Raila is coming from and saying, wait, we are not out of this game yet. We still have the ball, and we are playing. We're players. So that is what he's trying to say. But as they always say, a day in politics is too long. So we can sit and wait and see. I'm seeing a scenario whereby, as our Timber is saying, we might have either ODM and the UDA working closely to secure, because now, of course, the Mount Kenya is becoming very shaky for the president. He needs to create a new Amovas party. We might see ODM and NI joining and forming a new party or a coalition. And this coalition will be able to lead us to 2027. But then you cannot be able to negotiate from inside as if you're inside yet you're outside. So what he's saying, we have not had that discussion.
This is confusing.
Yes, we cannot be able to start making decisions for 2027. We're in 2024, and we are not fully in government.
Yes.
So we need to see that agreement, know what exactly our share of government is, and then we can make that decision for 2027 when the time is convenient. So he's trying to tell the president, take it slow, take it slow. It's my region still. I'm in control, and I cannot come back and use a matatu. That's an interesting statement by here. That, using a matatu is akin to what we saw the CS for education when the docket was declared vacant. He was in a foreign trip, he came back, he had to carry his own bags, use the normal near the airport, not the VIP. That is quite a shaming. That one you cannot want to be in that position. And then the cameramen are always there to take photos of you and post that, here is Baba back from there, you having missed the AU seat. He's carrying his own bags. Most probably.
No private
you remember the issue of Nusumkeka. There's no DC here, it's a Nusumkeka. Being in that position is quite shaming.
Yeah.
You don't want to be in that place. So you need to fight when you have the energy. You need to call your shots while you have you are in a position to call the shots, so that you can be able to concretize your. Without you see how Rigiji is now complaining that now we did not go into government. It was based on trust, and we didn't have anything written. Now we are looking like orphans. So at no point are we going to be as Mount Kenya going to sign and going to support somebody without an agreement. Okay. So that is very key, because it will be able to safeguard you, and even you can use it and say he has betrayed what we signed.
I have 3 minutes, and do me a favor. I want to ask this question. When Mbadi said, and I quote, that Ruto and the entire Rift Valley supported us in 2007, it is only fair for us to support him as a community in the next general election. Dr. How would you analyze that statement?
According to me, is an indicator that they intend to back the president.
And should the president take that statement
to the bank?
Exactly. And lock it.
It's blowing both hot and cold. And a day in politics is quite long. People issue statements to confuse you sometimes. So when you're thinking along those lines, like somebody can issue, I'm not saying but it does not mean it, but I can test the waters by making some remarks. I see your reaction, and then from there I'll make my other decision that I actually meant to make. So I wouldn't say that it is reliable or not reliable. I would like to leave it at that and not draw any conclusions, because we have almost like 2.5 to 3 years to an election, and so much is bound to happen. So I don't think I'll be in a better place to make a decision based on his statement. Yeah.
He's former chair of ODM. Wakili, when you hear Mbadi say that, and he said that in Kisumu, it's confusing. And as I said, do you think the president should just take that statement and take it to the bank and lock it there?
No, you won't. I think
I
would rather go with the statement of Raila that they will be fielding a candidate. That is more credible than what Mbadi is saying, because I don't think it's in Mbadi's position to issue such statement for the party, because the party seems to have its owners and is not the owner. So that's where I'd rather go with the statement of Raila than have the president. In politics, people give statements which are catching, so that you appease your guests, so that you make them feel comfortable. The crowd actually ululates, and then he feels like I'm home, so that you don't want to upset your opponent, especially when you are sitting at the table with them. So that is, I think, what I can relate the statement to. But the political span and strategies are going to be crafted as time goes by.
And now, Crispus, when you look at how things are unfolding, somebody will say, the president has left Mount Kenya, etc., etc. But how do you think the rest of the parties or other regions who overwhelmingly voted for the president would receive this message, including the president himself?
You see, one thing that we need to appreciate is that whatever Bandi says should not be taken lightly. Weeks before the finance bill was shut down, Bandi was very critical of the finance bill proposal. Then weeks after the Gen Z protest, he was seen somewhere in Luo Nyanza saying we should join government to assist this government in restoring some sense of sanity. And that statement, people did not take it serious. And I think a month later, he was in cabinet, not being nominated as a Treasury CS.
Yes.
Now, when he says that we need to return a favor to Ruto for helping us in 2007, I don't think people should take that statement lightly. It's a clear indication, come 2027, that the forces that we are going to see will be an alliance between Ruto and Raila. Whether Raila will be in the ticket, or it will be Anyang' Nyong'o in the ticket and Ruto, or any other person nominated by ODM, that will be the question at that point. But the alliance between ODM and UDA is just a matter of time. Whether in that alliance there will be space for ANC, for the Kenya and other parties, they'll have to negotiate their way into it, because ODM comes with over 85 seats of MPs at this moment. How many does ANC of Ford Kenya have at the moment, or the Power Party? So therefore, ANC, I mean ODM and UDA are a formidable force. And the person they will now against now who? So that's the question now. Gachagua and the others in the Mount Kenya region need to start organizing themselves so that come 2027, it will be ODM, UDA versus them. So that them is what we need to understand. And most likely it will be
I had enough time. I would have asked.
Yes.
Let me say
They'll vote for themselves.
Let me say this just as a way of closing.
In 10 seconds.
We have seen the government largely being the eastern part, that is from Nakuru this side. Now I think we are likely to see a position where government largely belongs to the western part, the Rift Valley and to the other side. So that is the equation which is being crafted, I suspect, so that we can be able to test the waters and see how that serves Kenya.
Nothing just happens. It's well crafted.
It's well crafted.
Dr. Evelyn Ogendo, thank you so much for coming on the show. Always, she was earlier than the boys. Quote unquote. Gibson Gisore, thank you so much for coming to the show as well. He's also a political governance. He wears many hats that I want to talk about right now. Crispus Othimba, an engineer by profession and a governance expert. Thank you so much, gentlemen and lady, for coming to the show, and then you for watching. Good morning, Kenya. My name is Victor Lowe. Oh, sorry, on the front page of the Daily Nation. For sake of fairness, MPs bid to block job cuts in civil service. That is what I have on the front page of the Daily Nation. It says that public servants at the national and county level whose positions are abolished will be shielded from losing their jobs under a proposed law. And so if the Public Service Human Resource Management Bill 2024 currently before the National Assembly becomes law in the current form, then employees whose positions become redundant will be redeployed. Okay.
It began 6 months ago across all of Kenya's 47 counties. Over 1,200 passionate Kenyan youths answered the ranger recruitment call, ready to conserve and protect Kenya's wildlife. From the coast shores to the savannah plains up to the peaks of mountains, they came together, united by a common purpose. They have endured tough training and become the latest stewards of Kenya's rich wildlife heritage. This 3rd December 2024, join us in celebrating the new guardians of the wild in a passing out parade at the KWS Law Enforcement Academy, Lea Manyani. The event will be presided over by His Excellency Dr. William Ruto, the President and Commander-in-Chief of Kenya Defence Forces. As we celebrate the new Rangers, we urge all visitors to avoid single-use plastics within the parade grounds and the Tsavo West National Park. Together, let's protect our wildlife for generations to come.
Technology has become a crucial part of our society. Without technological advancements, so much of our everyday lives would be drastically different. As technology develops, it strives to fulfill the changing needs of society. This means that technology exists to help us achieve the things that we wouldn't be able to achieve without it. Take on Tech looks at the advantages and downside of technological innovation in a world that is becoming increasingly dependent on new digital technologies. Every Monday at 10:30 p.m.
Nenda nitakueleza mahali penyewe baadaye. Nenda.
Nangojea. Lakini ukinihada nitakueleza nilionayo mbele ya mkeo. Samahani. Mbele ya Naomi na Rama.
Kama humpendi mtu Linda, hili umwambie, Na kama unampenda pia, mwambie ajue, Sidhani nitakuona tena. Na hata hivyo kama ningekuwa hapa bado, mambo yetu yangekuwa yameishia hapa hapa.
Rama, kwanza ufai kumuita babako kwa sasa.
Umesikia? Huyo ni mume wangu. Alikuwa babako ulipokuwa mdogo.
Hawa tu kila mtu ana kazi yake.
Tani bauti.
Wewe kichwa yako inaendaga mbele ama urudi reverse?
Side by side.
Unajua kupika nani?
Mpaka fata azimi nimewapikia. Mimi najua kupika chakula aina mingi sana.
Do you even know the types of food? Nimesaitisha order. Nobody's talking, nobody's doing anything.
Hii ni mbuzi fulai. Yani ngoat. Yenye ni fulai. Yembunzi.
Mmeka iliki hapa.
Iye iliki. Ukaka unajua utanirudishia pesa zangu wewe.
Mata mwache kuzinda ukinivanya vanyibu kwa...
KBC always has young people.
Yeah, actually KBC.
Yeah.
Indeed, you're watching KBC Channel 1 and this is Good Morning Kenya. My name is Mike Migwe. Good Morning Kenya continues now, and now we shift gears and talk about transformative leaders. Today we are focusing on a very important topic or aspect that is our culture and heritage. We are talking about promoting our culture and heritage. How much do you know about your culture? If you ask today, how much do you know about your culture? What will be your answer? Today in studio, I'm privileged to be joined by Ms. Njeri Mbure, who is a communication and heritage specialist, ready to talk about promoting our culture and heritage. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Karibu sana. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Yes.
I'm happy to be here. Culture and heritage is one of my favorite topics to talk about. So yeah.
Yeah. So remember, you can be part of this conversation by tweeting to us at KBC Channel 1. My personal Twitter handle or X handle is at @mmigwe. And let's get into this. When you talk about culture, what are we talking about, and what role does it play in our own identity as a people?
So I think back in the day when we used to define culture, we used to be told it's our way of life. And so when we look at culture in that way, then it changes, because our daily life then becomes our culture. But I think when it comes to heritage and culture, we're talking about who you are as a person, where you're coming from, what defines you. When we look at our heritage, now we start looking back at generations and generations of our parents, of our grandparents, and what they taught us and what we are learning, and even just around more aspects, different aspects. So, for example, when you talk about culture, we have cultural heritage, where we have intangible, which is what you can't touch, which are the practices, the stories we hear, the dances we see, but we also have tangible heritage, a cultural heritage, where we have the monuments and the sites, like the Kaya Mijikenda forest is a cultural heritage site, even though it's a forest, it's a sacred forest by the Mijikenda community that they're protecting as part of their culture and their heritage. Yeah.
You know, language is a very important aspect in any setting, every setting. But then again, it also contributes to the promotion of culture. But you look at today's world, native languages are not as much emphasized. Why do you think that is happening?
I think we are moving towards more urbanization. Back in the day, when you look at different parts of country, we used to know that central Kenya only had a certain tribe. When you look at western Kenya, we knew that. But right now, that's not the case anymore. We have people moving to different areas for jobs. We have people coming to Nairobi, and then we have all tribes represented. So what happens is sometimes we end up having to speak one common language, which is Swahili, for us to understand each other. And in that process, a lot of people, unfortunately, don't know their mother tongue, either didn't learn it or were not taught. Or even for some of us who know it, we're not able to continue this conversation with other people. We're also intermarrying with different tribes. So whose tribe will you teach the kids? Can they learn both?
they have the ability. Kids are very smart, and especially when they're young with languages, they can learn. But at that point, when people are wondering which culture, which language do we adopt, we end up having to take Swahili, which is then a common language that I can speak to any mwananchi in Kenya. So maybe, honestly, I think that's what has contributed to the fact that our tribal languages are not there. But it's not that they're not there. It's just that they're not as common as they used to be, and there are many things, as we've discussed, that have contributed to this.
Yeah, you know, we talk of globalization, we talk of immigration,
yes,
and also the aspects of industrialization.
Correct.
They have been attributed to contribute to economic growth, but on the other hand, they have been accused, if I may put it like that, of contributing to culture, to loss of culture. How then can we capitalize on these aspects to ensure that we preserve and promote our heritage?
I think, honestly, charity begins at home. If we understand the value of our culture, then it starts with you, it starts with me. And then collectively we can work towards making sure of that. And it's very true, because when you live and work in a different country, you are able now to adopt to a new culture, right? You go find people doing different things, and you start doing things the way they're being done. As they say, when you're in Rome, you do as the Romans do. So it's a very, I think when you look at it, it's just understanding it's not a bad thing to immigrate, because again, you also find different people of cultures. It opens your world, it opens your mind to different people. You learn about how other people are, but at the same time, are you able to still maintain your culture? I think for myself, who doesn't live here, what we do is, at the home we speak Swahili, we speak Kikuyu, because we are trying to make sure that we are moving we don't forget it, because once you forget, it's not easy to remember.
It's not easy to remember.
Yeah.
You know, we are living in a generation where now the Gen Z, they term themselves as tribeless. They are those things. But then again, you wonder if they understand their culture. If somebody came and asked you today, what is your culture? And if, for instance, let me take, for instance, a Kikuyu. Do you understand the process of dowry payment? Or you just understand things to do with Rorasho is Rorasho, and there are things to it? If it came to a person like a Maasai, that process of getting married, do you understand it if you consider yourself a Maasai? How do we approach such situations? Because in a way it seems we are transcending our tribes, given this generation is considering itself tribeless.
I think what happens is, first of all, I understand why they consider themselves that way. It's because they've seen the negative effect of dying to your tribe, because we're not using our tribe sometimes very positively. For example, if I'm Kikuyu and someone is Kikuyu and they're going for office, we are overlooking their integrity, we are overlooking their qualifications, and we want to say, oh, mtu wetu ako hapo, that our person is there. And unfortunately, most times, do we benefit in any way when that our person is in there? We don't. So the reason I feel like Gen Zs want to look at themselves as a tribeless is that they're just saying that we will not let this culture of tribes affect us. But they know, of course, they come from tribes. I'm sure some of them can speak very fluently their mother tongues. It's, I think, just looking at different parts. And I think when they come to us as the tribeless nation, they're talking about it politically. And they're just saying, we will separate our tribe. We'll look at more than just your tribe. We'll look at your qualifications. What are you doing for us? How can we benefit from your leadership? And is this a transformative leadership?
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
So there's a way you can detach tribe from culture, given the kind of a goal you are looking at.
Exactly. That's really what it is, yeah.
Now, let's circle back to the aspect of language, because it's one of the things that are important in enhancing culture and heritage. You know, it's easy to teach native languages in the rural setting. But then again, you come to schools in urban setting, it's cosmopolitan. How can that be addressed, if at all we are talking about promoting and maintaining our culture and heritage?
I think, unfortunately, the trend has been that we've looked at English as a superior language, even when it is not our language. We used to know that, you know, you'll go to school, you learn in English, and so on and so forth. And of course, we were colonized by the Brits, so we understand where we are coming from. there is a lack of value and a lack of appreciation for our native languages. And you and I know that we even look down on people who can speak English. And if people can't speak English well, we make fun of them. Even in school, you remember if people used to shrub, people used to burst out laughing. Yet that is not even our native language.
Yeah.
So if we start ourselves with an appreciation for our tribes, our native languages, or even our communal languages, even Swahili itself, I think we will have a different appreciation. I remember learning Swahili in school. It was difficult. I used to think, oh, I wish it was as easy as English, you know. But I think it's worth something that we ourselves need to invest in. We need to maybe pay more attention to that.
What do you think are the biggest impediments of facing the promotion and maintaining of our culture and heritage?
I think first we need an attitude change. It's like we need to reset the button where we need to see that our languages are beautiful. Our languages are appreciated. I mean, we go to France and they speak their French with pride. You know, we'll go to different countries, as we were talking with you, as Italians, they'll speak their Italian with pride. So why wouldn't we also speak our tribal language? I know sometimes we're worried. I know I worry a lot when people don't understand, and I don't want them to think I'm talking about them, right?
Yeah.
But I think once we understand that our languages are beautiful and that we need to, each of us, play a role in appreciating that, then it becomes a ripple effect. If our generation feels that way, maybe the next generation will give it more attention too.
What role do cultural festivals within the country play in enhancing and promoting this heritage we're talking about?
So I think the festivals, first of all, are amazing. I haven't been to many, but I've been to the Lamu Cultural Festival that just happened this weekend. In a previous year, just post-COVID, when they hadn't had it for a while, then it came back. And I think for me, what I learned were the cultural practices that the Swahili culture does. You know, there was the basket weaving, there was the making of the traditional hats. And when I look at that, I feel like people are able to learn so much from what they can see. And one thing I loved is that they incorporated everyone. It wasn't just the Swahili, it was also other tribes, even Kikuyus that live close to Lamu were presenting. We had different tribes coming and doing presentations. So the festivals are important, and I think that's something that we should do more of and encourage young people. So how can we attract also these young people to come to those festivals? You know, there was dhow racing, there was swimming activities. So it stops becoming just a thing for Lamu or the Turkana festival, then it becomes a thing for everyone to come and appreciate culture.
You're also part of the organizing committee for the recently concluded Africa 24 conference that happened in Mombasa, and there was a lot that happened.
Yes.
What can you say was the impact of that in terms of culture and heritage?
So I think when we were organizing the International Council on Monuments and Sites, Africa 24, what we wanted to see was more conservation of built heritage in Africa. Bringing together, we had over 100 people with over maybe 30 countries represented, coming to get together with Africans and talk about how can we conserve our culture, how can we conserve our heritage. If you know that ICOMOS, which is an international body in Paris, it's one of the advisory bodies to UNESCO, and UNESCO is the one that inscribes the World Heritage Sites. Kenya is very rich in World Heritage Sites. We have 8 World Heritage Sites. And so when we look at such a conference, what we're hoping to do is, can we bring these experts, African experts, non-African experts, to all see how can we help Africa? Because the honest truth is that we have underrepresentation. Out of 1,223 World Heritage Sites, Africa only has 8%. So how can we make sure that people see our culture as something worth conserving and worth recognizing?
You also involved, you're on the speakers at the Getting the Youth Involved. Talk to us about that.
So I think because once upon a time, someone gave me an opportunity as a youth to represent Kenya at the first African World Heritage Youth Forum. I thought what an amazing opportunity it would be to also come home and keep that going. So unfortunately, the Kenya National Commission for UNESCO had already organized their first National Youth Workshop on Culture and Heritage. So I joined them and I spoke about how the youth can get involved, just giving them ideas of, one of the things I love about the young minds, even where we were at Swahili Port Hub, which is a heritage hub, is that the young people are so good with their gadgets, you know. And sometimes young people will see these heritage things and think, oh, these are for old people. Especially when we look at the profession, we see white hair, we're like, oh, it's season, I have no place to fit.
Yes.
But I think one of the things that I've seen is that young people have something to bring to the table. And I think because I was involved in youth advocacy for World Heritage for a very long time, what we were trying to say is our points are valid. We need a seat at the table. We need to see more young people involved in making these decisions because that's the way they learn. So opportunities are there for the youth to be involved, whether it's in tech, whether it's in photography, you know, making the reels, social media, or even just learning how they can be part of these panels. Because, for example, if it's ICOMOS, we have membership, we have an emerging professionals working group. They can come, learn, be mentored, and be able to even take careers in heritage and culture.
You know, you said something that touches on attitude.
Yes.
Because you involve the youth, and some of things about culture, they say it's for old people. But then again, we're living in an information age. Yes. How can the youth now capitalize on that to ensure they learn about the culture and also promote it?
First of all, we need a reading culture. It's been said that if you want to hide things from Africans, hide them in books. And so we understand that now a lot of people don't read physical books, but we also, as you said, we have gadgets, we have the internet, and we can be able to source for this information and know. And sometimes the beauty of it is, if someone is coming to you with facts, you can be able to counter or ask questions if you know what you're talking about. But if you don't know, if you come at me with even information that is not a fact, I'll probably accept because I don't know. But if I have done my own research, I've learned about all this culture and heritage that we're talking about, I think I'll be able to be like, okay, Mike, no, maybe we should ask these questions. How are we doing community involvement, you know, at this World Heritage site, and so on and so forth.
Talk a little bit about the intangible cultural heritage.
So intangible cultural heritage happens to be what we can't touch, right? And so we look at our folklore, we look at our stories, we look at our dances, we look at practices as well. And I think Kenya, the recent one I know is one of the practices of the Maasai community. And when we look at them, I think we forget that that can be heritage too. These are things that need to be preserved, because if you preserve such a practice, means generations to come will still appreciate it. And I think what people sometimes do not understand about preservation and conservation is all people are trying to do is call upon more people to pay attention to it, respect them. If we're talking about the sacred forest, we just don't want you to come in. Like, for example, on Friday, one of the activities we did for Africa 24 was go to the KMTC sacred forest. And they told us, unfortunately, we cannot let you into the forest because they hadn't done the cleansing. And we were very understanding, because we know that there are some practices that the elders need to do before we can come in. And so when we look at that, we understand, and we don't go arguing, because, you know, the normal person will be like, no, it's my right, I need to enter. No, it's not. They're the first priority. They're the ones who are at the forefront of protecting it. So when they tell us we can't go in, we need to understand why.
But we also need to bring about the fact that there's no culture that is superior over the other. Cultures are supposed to augment each other, especially in Kenya here, where we have diversity of culture. Yes.
I think that's something that, unfortunately, even when you think about when, you know, we were moving from a traditional kind of a setting to modern, we love our missionaries. They brought the gospel, right? But they also came with things that we hadn't seen before. I know when we visited, like, for example, a place in Wida in Benin, where they were taking the slaves, we were looking and they were showing us that someone was sold for a mirror. My head is going, you sold a whole human being for a mirror to look at yourself, because that particular king had never seen a mirror. And they were like, oh, I could look at myself every day and just tell Mike, you know. So it's very unfortunate, because there's no culture that is superior to another one, but we need to appreciate our own. We spoke about the language. We were speaking about how people who speak better English are sort of the better people. You know, no, we need to understand that there's value in our culture, there's value in our languages and our traditions. And if only we knew, people travel from miles away to come see the Maasai dancing, to come see how they live in the manyatas. We need to understand that we all possess that, because you come from a tribe, I come from a tribe. I need to go back and find out what was our culture, what did we do, and how can we still do these practices, because not all of them are possible. I can't wake up every day and pray facing Mount Kenya, but I can be able to know, like, there are some practices that are good and we can move them forward.
Yes. Are we telling our stories, or are we defining our culture based on the way we understand it, or based on how someone told us this is what used to happen?
So I think the thing that happens is as Africans, our story has been told by other people for a very long time. And so we have had a shift. Different people are coming to the forefront and telling their African story as it is, helping people to appreciate where they come from and to see things differently. So we need, I think, when we look at how we're moving forward, because it's always that we're in progression, we're not at a place of perfection. If we can look at how do we progress, is that we need to tell our story from our angle. We need to be able to see how can we let our story from our angle be told, because as long as someone is telling your story, I love one of the speakers last week was Dr. Webb Andoro, who was the former executive director for the African World Heritage Fund, and he said, for as long as the hunter tells the story about the lion, the story will always be how the hunter won, right? And so it's the same thing. We need to be able to tell our own story as how we see it and how we understand it. And it's not a conflict thing. It's just an opportunity thing. It's also a chance for other generations to know that they can do it.
So not a conflict thing, but an opportunity thing. From where you stand, what do you think government should prioritize on in as far as preserving and enhancing culture and heritage is concerned?
I think first, there are two things. I think we need to invest in the young people. As we were speaking with you this morning, I was telling you how I volunteered for over 7 years without a job in World Heritage. And so when I look at that, I'm like, surely I should have got it. 7 is a long time to wait for an opportunity to open up, right? But when I look at where I am today, because I'm working as the marketing manager for Ohio's only World Heritage site, I look at the people who gave me that opportunity and believe that I can do it, you know, given my background in communications and master in World Heritage. And I was like, these are skills I would have loved to be giving back at home, but we will go where the opportunities are. We know, you and I know the numbers when it comes to unemployment. So if we can invest in young people, believe in them, we can actually move this more. And even just when we look at the government, maybe investing in culture and heritage is something that we need to put our focus on. But we also understand where we are coming from. We are a country that has many other issues. You know, we have poverty, we have health, we have food crisis. So maybe even if we devoted a chunk to just say that cultural heritage is a priority, because when we look at the Africa Union Agenda 2063, for the Africa we want, we're saying that Africa has the largest amount of youths. And so if we invest in them, we are able to also make sure that our culture continues. You know, if we are able to train them and invest in their culture and their heritage, they will see it as they will see themselves as stewards, because you cannot steward what you don't own. And if you don't feel like you own it, you will not steward it.
So who is tasked with enhancing or preserving this culture? Is it a case of government, or it's a collective effort?
I think it's a collective effort. It's a pipeline. It's like a race. It's a baton. The way I look at it is, if I start, you can pick it up and go on. So if I am on the ground and maybe mentoring the youth on heritage and culture, then someone else can say, I have 5 internships, either at the Ministry of Culture or the Ministry of Foreign Affairs at the Cultural Office. We have the Kenya National Commission for UNESCO. We have very many different things. But if I mentor them and they don't get an opportunity, guess what will happen? They'll get tired. They'll have to do jobs, they'll hustle, and then they lose that. What we don't want to do is lose that spark. We don't want to lose that passion. And that's what was done for us. I think I told you earlier that I was in my late 20s when I was learning about World Heritage. But coming from the people who taught me, I could tell it was a fire that was sparked, and there was no stopping me from then. And so when the opportunities were not forthcoming, I did want to give up. But I think I held on knowing that one day it's going to pay off, you know. But it's not everyone we can look at that way. So we need to give them the opportunities, and then we need to make them see the reason why they should steward our culture and heritage.
How do you think cultural exchanges are important in terms of enhancing the understanding of culture and heritage?
Cultural heritages are amazing. I feel like we haven't harnessed that, and maybe that's an opportunity. You know, every time we think opportunity, that Kenya can tap into. I know, for example, World Heritage USA has an exchange program every year where they're getting people from different countries to come and learn from that culture. So how about in Kenya? We have the same opportunities where we have people working at different cultural sites or heritage sites coming into Kenya and learning how we do it, especially because Africa is rich in both built and the intangible. When you look at our dances, we were talking about, you spoke about the rorashios and all these practices. These are very rich cultures that we have. You know, we wish that people would come and just experience them and learn them, and they'd be able to also go back with an experience that they probably appreciate and would help them also just in their daily jobs and what they do.
You know, the people at the grassroots level, there's a sense that they understand culture better than those in the urban setting. But then again, there's also the aspect of organizing these cultural festivals. What is the role of county government here in making sure that the culture and information about culture continues and heritage?
I love that most of the counties have their cultural person. They do. So I feel like once it begins with them, and even when, for us, I think when we went to the Kaya, it was the chief, you know, at that level, you've said at the ground, you know, level. So they have a chance to be the ones organizing. So if right now we have a national workshop on culture and heritage, and we always try that all the 40 plus counties are represented, what happens is, how about when they go back home, they're able to now mobilize on that level, you know? If, for example, you teach you know, you can teach a man to what do they say? Fish. To fish, but you can't teach the, you know, that the idea is if you bring them together to learn, then they go back and they still teach the people around them. We are creating a kind of an teach one situation where if one of us learns and they go back home and they teach, if you're coming from Turkana or Kakamega, you know, if you go back and you're able to teach the others, we are creating some sort of ripple effect of appreciation. So that's where the counties can tap in. They need to be able to be the ones that say, we will take up this role, you know. Yeah.
It's also a chance for cultural tourism.
Yes.
And it's an opportunity, as you're saying, that people need to adopt. And this cultural tourism need to happen like very frequently, because it is one of the way of making people understand where they come from as a people and how they can enhance these the good traditional beliefs and practices. So now, how, you know, culture is not about only doing things. There's also the aspect of crafts. There's also the aspect of marketing. Where does all this fit in here?
So it's interesting because when you look at even the tourist cycle, before they make a decision on where they want to go, we know that Kenya has been on the top, tourist destinations for a long time because of what we have to offer. Number one, if we market if we work on marketing, what we're doing is just creating strategies for people to know why should they come to visit these places. As a marketing person myself, we're looking at, can we give people a visitor experience that is out? Because we build up expectations when you're working on your marketing campaigns. So I'm expecting it to be brilliant when I come. So we look at the visitor experience as well. One of the projects that we did on sustainable tourism post-COVID was training the tour guides in Lamu and Fort Jesus on visitor experiences, letting them know that if someone lands, they're in your hands. So we taught them communication skills, you know, how they can market themselves without being too pushy, because we're telling them, you're our ambassador at this point, you know. And so we were learning even just from them, because we get off the boat at Lamu when they come, you know, they all surround you and they're asking you, where do you want to go? Do you have a hotel? And we're telling them, it's not a bad thing to do that, because we understand that everyone has to make money. But how can you do that with an approach that also makes the visitor feel comfortable? So which is one of the things I really appreciated Kenya last week. With all those international visitors we had, no one complained, from their airport to the people in Mombasa. They spoke about how the people were so nice and they will come again. You know, you could hear people saying, I'm bringing my family. And that's all we want. We want ambassadors to go out and speak about it. Because if you have a bad experience, people won't even remember the good. They always remember the bad. So I think just all of us taking that ambassadorship role is important in what we are talking about.
From where you stand, what is the role of media in all this?
So the media... The media has a big role to play. I think First of all, again, people always look to the media.
Exactly.
Right? So as a voice, I think they need to more and more, because it's a very strong, influential voice. How about the media starts promoting local culture in terms of the tribes, the dances? Because if we're looking at, right now it's Christmas time, and almost everyone is just watching those Hallmark Christmas movies. Had we had a Christmas in Masai Mara kind of a movie, you know, we would have wanted to see it. But I feel like people in the media can also help people appreciate their culture. We were talking about it being a place of, once we've had other cultures glorified over ours, people feel like I need to belong to the other culture than ours. So maybe if we people who work in the media or marketing or can come up with strategies of how can we still uplift the stories of the culture and still work around even the stories. We can do movies that can be also romantic in our cultural spaces.
For, you know, this preservation starts at the very down level, the grassroots level. And somebody would wonder, is there a way to secure funding to help in the initiatives of promoting and preserving our culture and heritage?
There is funding. I mean, when you look at the places that want to preserve cultural heritage, there is funding available, and I think that's what people miss as well, because sometimes people feel like we are alone. We are alone, and of course, if you feel that way, you won't even have the motivation. But there are funding agencies. I know, for example, we have the Africa World Heritage Fund that is specific to Africa. They've been doing a lot of capacity building, both young and older professionals, trying to train them. And when they come in, what they do is they'll pay for the trips and the hotels to be able to send our experts to places to learn. So there are different organizations. There's the World Monuments Fund. There are different organizations that people can look up and that can be able to give grants. I think there are grants available for historic preservation and especially for culture and heritage.
Are there criteria for that?
Yes, it depends. Sometimes people want people who are doing projects, and some people want something maybe to do with sustainability, because we're talking about climate change and all these other things. So once people identify what it is they want to work with, sometimes you start at the national level. You can look at the National Commission for UNESCO, you can look at the UNESCO Regional Office, and their websites are good places for resources to start. The Ministry of Culture or the Cultural Office for Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
As we come to a close, how can global audiences be encouraged to support cultural and heritage initiatives?
I think for me, how I look at it is we have to be ambassadors of our own. I organized Africa 24 with my team from miles away, and I knew it was coming home. My organization sponsored the Africa 24, even them not being African and being a World Heritage Site in the US. So I'm looking at it in spaces of we who already know, have been here, we need to give back to our organizations. We need to share the opportunities, and most importantly, we need to mentor so we can bring good things for everyone. I always challenge the diaspora people to be able to bring it back home, and even the people here will be able to also be encouraged to start from here.
So what is your message to anyone who is watching right now as your final submission?
I think as I'm concluding, let's help preserve our culture and heritage. These things are important for generations to come. When you hear the story, because sometimes you look at these sites and monuments and you don't know the story behind them. I think for me, the most powerful, for example, giving you that I work with the Hopewell Ceremonial Earthworks, I look at them and I just see hills. But when I hear the story of the Native American, you know, indigenous, that they came and they were using 10 million buckets of soil to create this mount.
10 million buckets of soil.
Yes. How amazing is that story? But if I did not know the story, I would not appreciate it as much. So there's power in a story. Let's keep telling them. And even if they're ignored, one day someone will see the value in that.
And the best way to tell a story is to tell it from your own perspective.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for making time to come on Good Morning Kenya.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is Ms. Njeri Mbure, who is a communication and heritage specialist, speaking to us about promoting our culture and heritage. This is where we cap this conversation. I hope you have learned a thing or three here on Transformative Leaders. My name is Mike Migwe. Good Morning Kenya continues shortly.
bye-bye to FOMO, the fear of missing out, by downloading the KBC Online app that gives you access to everything you love. Get the latest news, sport, music, entertainment news, live radio, and so much more at the palm of your hands. To get the app, simply search KBC Mobile Digital App in your Google Play or App Store and download the app. Catch what you want, anytime, anywhere. Stay connected. Stay ahead with KBC Mobile Digital App.
Thank you for joining us on Healthy Living. Stay connected to Voice of America at voanews.com. A look at your kidneys and how they impact your health. And an expert discusses chronic kidney disease and how to protect yourself. And Ivorian psychologist Noor Bakayoko shares some insights on bullying and what can be done.
It's important to avoid major events or major health crises.
How do you know if your cough is due to a serious condition? We'll have some answers. Stay well
and strive to make every day a healthy day.
Miscarriage, a heart-wrenching journey that affects millions across the globe. Here, we delve into the causes, risks, prevention, and more importantly, dealing with the aftermath of enduring this profound loss. Pregnancy loss through a miscarriage usually leaves an individual or a couple grappling with grief, guilt, and emptiness. Grace Njuguna is one such lady who, together with her spouse, faced a miscarriage during the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Miscarriage is one of the traumatic experiences that I've gone through in life. Even to start with, it is something that I would never wish any woman to go through it. Even my worst enemy, I would not wish them to go through it. It's traumatizing. It's painful. It's actually among that day is among the worst days of my life. The pregnancy journey was good from conception up to 20 weeks. So I was 20 weeks on that day.
Even as Grace gives the account of her miscarriage, Dr. Agnes Wanjiko sheds light on the miscarriage and its major causes.
The word miscarriage is a term that is used commonly to refer to a pregnancy loss. A spontaneous pregnancy loss that occurs before a baby or a fetus is viable. When we talk about fetal viability, we are talking about a fetus who can survive if born at that particular time. Worldwide, the definition refers to a pregnancy which is lost before 20 weeks of pregnancy. Some of the signs that one can look out for if you have missed a period or if you have confirmed a pregnancy, any bleeding, it could be a sign of a miscarriage. Any pain in the lower abdomen could be a sign of a miscarriage. Backache or even fever could be a sign of a miscarriage, which is even getting an infection.
And true to this, Grace experienced these symptoms and swung into action, seeking all possible medical interventions.
When I was going to work, I had some pains, some cramping, but then I thought it's normal in the first trimester. It is normal to, actually in the second trimester, it is normal to have the cramping, it is normal to have pains. When I talked to my friends who I shared with, because it had begun on Friday, the cramping was mild, but now on Saturday it was an issue, it was now a concern. But people were telling me, and even some nurses that I talked to and some doctors, they were telling me it can be normal. But in case it increases, I go to the hospital. So when I went to work, I felt it is important that after work, I go to the hospital. While I was going, I thought it is just like any other visit. Ile ni kawaida tu nitaenda hospitali, nikuje nyumbani.
Once these symptoms have manifested, is there a chance of saving that pregnancy? Dr. Agnes explains.
Once a woman has confirmed that she's pregnant and she starts getting those symptoms of bleeding, for example, it doesn't always result into a miscarriage. So if someone can go to the nearest hospital or visit their healthcare profession, then they can be able to detect if these are signs of an impending miscarriage or just a threatened miscarriage. A threatened miscarriage is a miscarriage whereby there is that bleeding, yes, from the birth canal, but the pregnancy remains intact. That is a threatened miscarriage, and in that case, if you go to the hospital early, that pregnancy can be salvaged. And but some may not be salvaged, because if you have already started expelling the products of the pregnancy, then we call it inevitable.
I called my husband, I called a certain friend of mine who is in Thika, I called my parents. My spouse came, and in a few, the best couple, they also came, and we agreed that we want to go to another hospital. When we asked that we asked the doctor whether it is okay we go, the doctor said that she cannot allow us unless a gynae comes who will see me and allow me to go. Because to her, the way I was, actually alikuwa ananiambia wewe utapata mtoto kwa gari, hata hutafika hiyo hospitali.
Among the risk factors that lead to miscarriage is age, past miscarriages, and genetic problems.
We advise women to give birth early or to have children early, before 35 years of age. And this is because over time it has been identified that women over 35 years have got an increased risk of miscarriages as well as pregnancy complications. Other risk factors for miscarriage are like maternal conditions. Somebody could be having a chronic illness like hypertension, which is not well controlled, and that can lead to a miscarriage. Other risk factors, maternal risk factors, could be maternal habits, like smoking, use of, we call them recreational drugs, like cocaine, even caffeine. Too much caffeine can cause a miscarriage. Then you could also have other factors of the mother, of the uterus, like a cervix which is weak. We call it cervical insufficiency, and one may have repeated miscarriages because their cervix cannot hold the pregnancy beyond a certain limit. Especially for cervical insufficiency, you'll find that the mother keeps getting miscarriages at 4, 5 months, 6 months. And until that is corrected, they may not have any full-term pregnancy.
Dr. Agnes also underpins on the preventive measures a pregnant woman can take to avert cases of pregnancy loss.
There are certain things that we encourage couples. Actually, before even a couple conceives, you are supposed to visit your healthcare professional and specifically visit your gynecologist, so that you can go through the genetic counseling, you can go through health education, so that if for example you are a smoker, you can be advised on discontinuing to smoking. If you take alcohol heavily, you may be advised to reduce on alcohol intake. If you take drugs, for example, then it will be nice to visit your doctor and just be told how to prepare yourself for a pregnancy.
A miscarriage usually causes a ripple effect in the life of an individual or a couple.
How did the miscarriage affect you as a couple now?
Well, I would say there was no drift between us, because as I said, he supported me in his capacity. Yes, I felt that he didn't stand with me like I would have wanted, like any other wife or woman who has gone through it, but then he was in school. Na pia ninaangalia venye ameenda shule, it is for our good. So tunaweza kuwa pia tuna sacrifice. I'm going through a lot alone now, but he's sacrificing also for our future. So in his capacity, he gave me the best. And even wherever he is right now, I appreciate him for that.
Dr. Ruth Kamunyu, a lecturer and counseling psychologist, explains why couples may grow adrift, especially when trying to come to terms with a pregnancy loss through a miscarriage.
Mostly it will happen because probably they don't understand the different coping, the different ways of coping. Because a woman may cope differently and a man may cope differently. So acknowledging that probably I have my different ways of coping. Like probably a man may cope by even just being outside there. He wants to be outside there with others. That's his way of coping. He may be out, maybe he may choose to read books. You know, he may choose to indulge in his hobby. You know, he's looking for different ways of coping, which the spouse may not really understand.
One of the most important part of the whole process is acceptance, because from it, an individual or a couple can seek the necessary support. Dr. Ruth Kamunyu emphasizes on the importance of addressing the emotional and psychological trauma resulting from a miscarriage.
Professional counseling is also important, because when people go through that order, it's actually an order because it affects somebody. You know, one gets emotionally drained. Besides the physical scars, you know, the miscarriage affects one physically. There'll be some changes in the body. But besides the physical scars, the emotional consequences are actually far-reaching. And it has been said that people heal, they heal physically, but then emotionally, it could go for even years if they do not seek for any form of help. So as counselors, we insist on both physical and emotional healing. It's also important.
But what if an individual shuns professional help and decides to go it alone?
It could take long to heal, and they could adopt some probably coping mechanisms that could affect them later in life. As I have said, it can take years to heal. So somebody may take a different route and adopt some coping mechanisms, probably that are meant to make them forget. And in loss and grief, you know, there's nothing like forgetting. It's about coming to terms with what has happened.
It remains important to work with somebody who understands, as Dr. Ruth puts it.
Grief is not a one-day thing, and healing is not a one-day thing. It's about walking with somebody. In counseling, we call it walk with somebody who cares, who empathizes, who listens, who will give the right information, and who will be by your side as you try to negotiate that stage, because it is a painful stage.
People find it hard to talk about miscarriages, ostensibly because of the cultural beliefs, something that both Dr. Ruth and Dr. Agnes acknowledge.
People also fear the stigma. You know, we are living in a stigmatized society. People face a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, a lot of self-blame. So to avoid all that, some people opt to just go it alone.
Maybe we already stigmatize ourselves, and possibly you don't want to talk to other people about your misfortunes, because a miscarriage is regarded as a misfortune. So it's possibly just because of our culture. It has nothing to do with anything else.
The effects of miscarriage do not only affect women, but also men. However, the difference comes in the way a man would handle the emotional effects, especially because he is supposed to show up for the spouse.
So for the men, it's also good to really be able to express their feelings. And this is one thing that us counselors encourage the men to do. Unfortunately, the way men are socialized, they are socialized to be heard. So they try to shun away, you know, the feelings. But it is always very, very important to be able to express your feelings in whichever way you can. They may not express it like the women, but in a way, be able to deal with your feelings, because there's some pain also. This was your child, you are waiting for it, and probably you had started seeing signs of the baby coming. You're also preparing yourself as a father. It's not only women who prepare themselves as mothers. Men also prepare themselves psychologically, the baby is coming. even that aspect of being called a father. At least I have fathered somebody. So emotionally, they also get affected.
Overcoming the fear of conceiving again is a factor that speaks to the hope of carrying another pregnancy to term. Having lost one pregnancy already, how did Grace overcome this fear?
My gyna gave me a lot of confidence. Then I walked with him in the journey until nika conceive the McDonald's stitch. He was also with me. So about now the fear, I didn't have much fear, because I had someone I would talk to, someone I would visit in the hospital, someone I would even call. Then the other thing that made me not to fear, it is because after I miscarried, there are so many people who came to see me. I remember my pastor came to see me together with one of the elders in the church, pastor's wife, and other women in the church, and also friends around Katondo and Nairobi. They came to see me. So it happened that there are 3 women who came to visit me who have gone through the same. So they encouraged me. I would see that they have even children after they have gone through it. So it gave me hope.
The motivation to talk about the effects of miscarriage is usually not there, but Grace is determined to break the silence and let people know that it is okay to talk about it.
There are 2 major reasons that encouraged me to talk about this today. And the first reason is to break the silence of pregnancy loss and even what women go through after miscarriage. Because one thing that I know is that miscarriage is not taken seriously. After miscarriage, as a woman, you're expected to move on. You're expected to bury what has happened. You're expected not to say about it. Actually, what I've come to know is that four women, 1 woman out of 4, they have gone through miscarriage. But people, they hide. People don't have the confidence to talk about it. The second thing, I wanted to glorify God as I share this story, because what has happened to me after this, it's a testimony, because now on December 2021, it has happened in 2020, on December 7th, 2021, now I was blessed with my firstborn, Ezra, who was born as a preterm baby. Then 2023, December also, 18th, I was blessed with a girl. And one thing that I always used to say is that God will restore me. That God will restore the pain that I went through. That God will restore that girl. I used to believe that.
One question that may linger in the minds of those who have experienced miscarriages remains: is there hope?
There is hope even for couples who have had miscarriages, and even if you've had 3 consecutive miscarriages, the chances that you will have a full-term pregnancy are still high. About 60 to 80% chances of still having a full-term pregnancy. And of course, the most important thing is to identify, is there a cause of these miscarriages? If there is, for example, cervical insufficiency, that can be corrected. If there is a uterine defect, it can be corrected. If it's the maternal conditions that have not been well controlled, like diabetes, hypertension, or thyroid disease, that can be corrected. If there are infections that have not been treated properly, then that can also be corrected. So the most important thing is to identify whether there is a reason or a cause or a risk factor in the couple.
Dealing with the aftermath of a miscarriage is usually a journey traveled in silence. In such wake of profound loss, emotions and feelings can become overwhelming, and that may leave an individual or a couple feeling isolated or adrift. And in the midst of all this, there is hope and light at the end of the tunnel.
Since the invention of internet decades ago, the digital space has increasingly evolved. With this, teaching children basic computer skills has become important.
We live in a highly competitive world that is on the cusp of a digital revolution. This new world demands that our children are armed with the right skills that empower them to competently navigate the rapidly changing work environment. And to prepare them for the global stage, we have to introduce our children to the right digital tools at a very early age.
Kenya has placed considerable emphasis on the importance of ICT in its education sector support program. The Ministry of Education has taken steps to support the implementation of the strategy, either by direct action or through the various institutions and agencies with which it works. In addition, there are many other organizations not involved directly with the Ministry of Education that continue to be active in implementing and supporting projects involving ICT in education. There has been substantial evidence around the world that technology has become one of the most important and vital components to the success of a child's education. Although Kenya is known as the Silicon Savannah, this status needs continued pacing with technological innovation and stronger digital foundations. Scaling digital skills at primary, secondary, and tertiary education levels is a huge part of widening tech adoption and growing a lucrative digital economy. It can also help narrow the rural and urban development divide that limits collective advancement. In line with its bottom-up economic transformation agenda that emphasizes on the digital economy, the government launched the coding and computer programming curriculum for public schools through the syllabus approved by the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, KICD, and created in partnership with Codrace Africa, an education technologies firm under the National Digital Master Plan. This will contribute to improving digital literacy among the youth and equip them with the necessary skills to compete in the digital economy. However, implementing digital literacy education in areas such as informal settlements presents substantial challenges. Kibera is an informal settlement. Rampant poverty in the Kibera slum is the source of numerous grievances and foundational inadequacies. Factors such as gender discrimination, crime, widespread unemployment, and inaccessible electricity feed the continuation of poor conditions in the slum. This does not allow them to acquire computer literacy despite their average level of formal education, as there is no money to pay for their training costs. This makes it difficult for them to be competitive in the labor market.
One organization in the informal settlements of Kibera has taken an initiative of teaching kids basic coding skills.
One, Renis Owino, has taken the initiative to eradicate digital illiteracy by teaching children in Kibera slums basic coding and computer-based skills.
Back in 2010, I lost my mom and my dad. After the battle, my dad felt like since I was close to my mom, I needed a mother figure in my life. And
he had suggestions of me coming to stay with my aunt for a while, so that I don't to try and fill in the gap. So back home, I was allowed to go to the cyber. All the cybers were like friendly. You could just go to the cyber and use it. But when I came to Kibera, it was different. The cybers were male-dominated, and you know, as a young girl going to a cyber which is full of men, it gave a different narrative to the community. So it wasn't me going to the cybers, I was being judged, and I wasn't even feeling comfortable in the cybers. So I sat down and thought, what if I created a place where girls could just come and browse and use the internet without being judged with the community or feeling threatened? Yeah, so I went back to school and the dream did not end. So after I completed my high school, I joined Nairobi Aviation College. My dad requested me to go and do just a simple course. Since I had done computer in high school, so my dad told me, as I was waiting for him to get more funds for me to join uni, it will be a great idea for me to do computer course at Nairobi Aviation. So I went and I did not enroll into a certificate program. I enrolled into a diploma. I did a diploma in ICT, and I focused, my main course was programming. That was something I focused on. Later on, during my college years, during my college period, I had female lecturers who were programmers, and this really made me feel nice about it. And now I started going back to my initial dream, creating a space where girls could just use computers.
Code with Kids started as Code with Girls. But for Renise, she saw the importance of including boys also into the program to bring equality.
I started Code with Girls. Initially, it was Code with Girls, where I felt like since I was in college, we had still a less number of females doing ICT. And I was like, if I start this Code with Girls and start teaching girls at a young age, by the time they're joining uni, they'll be comfortable in taking up such courses. When I started this again, I found so many challenges with Code with Girls, because the girls that I was targeting, the girls that I was teaching, sometimes they couldn't come for the sessions because I was doing it at Katokera in my aunt's place. They couldn't come for the session because either one, they were doing dishes, they were doing laundry, they were taking care of their siblings, and this became a challenge. And then I saw the problem I'm trying to solve is to bring more girls into ICT and to make everybody know that tech is not only for boys and men. Then I realized if I am to solve this problem, then I have to include both boys and girls in the same sessions.
For Renise, teaching these kids how to do basic coding skills is preparing them for the future even as we head towards a technological world. Being an informal settlement where illiteracy might be high, some parents may not really understand what this program entails. With the recent form of education, competency-based curriculum, CBC, schools are now required to at least teach children basic computer skills. Code with Kids has partnered with some schools in Kibera to enhance this.
Currently, we offer after-school programs to different schools in Kibera. We have Soweto Junior Academy, where we train their young learners. So for Soweto, we work with kids from PP1, that is their PP1 until grade 4. We have Blessed Hope, where we focus on grade 5 and grade 6. We have Kibera High School, where we train the high schoolers. We have Raila High School, where we train the high schoolers as well. Apart from that, we work with an organization called Smart Kibera of Hope, where we train their beneficiaries in science, technology, engineering, and math. One of the laptops that we use here is called the Kano PC. These are really child-friendly computers. They are touchscreen. They come with detachable keyboard, and it's easy to set. So here, it's like the motherboard of the laptop. It comes with a power. So if you want to use it, you have to connect the power. It's simple and easy to assemble, so very child-friendly. This is the speaker. So you just connect it, and then it has a clear casing. So this has really helped us as Code with Kids when we are training the kids how our computer works. We show them the different components that it consists of, and then it has this clear casing that also allows the kids to just look at it through here. So it's very easy to assemble. So once you've assembled it, it can be used like this as a tablet. But for us, we always encourage the kids to attach it to the keyboard so that it's easier for them to use. So this is like, it's set like this. It's completely like set like this.
Code Day is a non-profit providing welcoming and diverse opportunities for underserved students to explore a future in tech and beyond. Code with Kids celebrated this day by inviting several students from Kibera to learn coding skills. This includes Scratch program, robotics, and Python.
Nilianza na Tinka yenye natufunza kwanza kukode. Kaenda Scratch. Sai robotics. Ni fun, yeah.
I've learned how to use the Scratch app whereby I can make stories and games by myself.
Blessed Hope Child Center is one of the beneficiary schools that Code with Kids offers after-school program to the students. John Owok, a teacher, explains the importance of this program to their students.
Coding has really been of help, one, to our institution because it has broken the monotony that we've had of learners constantly being in class and doing the same thing over and over again, but also getting out the best of the learners in terms of improving their social interaction, their group engagements. So we feel that with coding, one, it has brought some level of cohesion within the learners and them understanding each other by their abilities and supporting each other in the process, but also allowing them to appreciate each other.
Mama Patricia has seen much improvement in her daughter since she started learning how to code.
As advice wazazi waache watoto wao, especially kama maybe midterm holidays wakiwa kienda hiyo kucode ama coding, naona inasaidia watoto wengi sana.
Salome Ratemo, a volunteer at Code with Kids, emphasizes on the importance to teaching coding skills.
My advice to the parents is to allow your kids to join coding-related clubs, especially girls, since the tech is presumed to be a male-dominated field.
Implementing digital literacy in Kenya's education system is essential to prepare students for the future workforce. To ensure that all students have access to digital literacy education, the government must invest in infrastructure and teacher training. Additionally, private sector partnerships and technology integration can further enhance digital literacy in Kenya's education system. By working together, we can equip all students with the skills they need to thrive in the digital age.
For these kids, learning how to code is a sign that the future is bright. Like they say at Code with Kids, there's a place in tech for everyone.
In my name and take your money, take.
Thank you for nothing.
They also you thank you for nothing.
Who are you calling down the head? What else should I call you? You will stop calling me funny names. Unasikia? I will beat the living daylights out of you.
Nothing is fine
until you pay me my money. You know that money was for something very important.
How much, if I may ask?
Kufunga pakuli. This is between me and her.
I will only take her hand if she gives me the phone.
In your nightmare.
Okay, in my nightmare. Okay.
Watu kila mtu ana kazi yake.
Tani lefty.
Wewe kichwa yako inaendaga mbele ama urudi reverse?
Side by side.
Unajua kupika nani?
Mpaka fathers mimi nimewapikia. Mimi najua kupika chakula ina mingi sana.
Do you even know the types of fun? Nimesaitisha order. Nobody's talking, nobody's doing anything.
Hii ni mbuzi fulai. Yani goat. Yenye ni fulai. Yembunzi.
Mmeka iliki hapa.
Iye iliki. Kaka unajua utanirudishia pesa zangu wewe.
Mata mwache kuzinda ukinibanya banya.
In the heart of sprawling urban slums where hope is often overshadowed by hardship, a pressing issue persists: teenage pregnancy. Teenage pregnancy in slum areas is often a consequence of a lack of access to education, limited resources, and societal pressures. For many young girls, it's not a matter of choice but of circumstance. Lilian Achieng and Rachel Diana narrate how they fell pregnant into their early teenage age.
Mtoto wangu wa kwanza nilipata nikiwa shule. I was 17 years. Ndo nilikuwa nimemzaa by the way. Nili drop out juu ya pregnancy. Niliona nikirudi shule itakuwa mtoto wangu atasafa, so nikasema tu nimlee. Nikae na yeye at least ni agro na mimi as a mother. Mtoto utaji mama yake ndo at least unaona chenye analak nini hivyo. Sasa nilipata mtoto wangu kwa 17 years. I was in form 2.
I became a teenage mom when I was 20 years, and I would say like becoming a teenage mom at that age wasn't easy for me. Yes, because there were things I didn't know about taking care of the baby, like how I'll put myself like a mom that time. Yes, it wasn't easy for me.
Teenagers often face intense pressures from their peers to engage in risky behavior. Also, the absence of meaningful parental guidance can leave teenagers navigating their choices alone. Without open communication and supervision, they are more vulnerable to the influences of their peers. Dalmers, a clinic officer at Shining Hope for Communities Shofco, explains.
Well, one of the reasons as to why we have high pregnancy cases here is peer pressure. There's quite a number of youths whom we've talked to, and they've admitted that what is pushing them to engage in unprotected sex is peer pressure. The stories that they get to hear from their friends pushes them to the limit. And then if you look at the freedom that they have back at home, mostly their parents are never there, probably looking for work or looking for money. So they have free time in between to do what they feel is right or as per how their body pushes them to. Yes. So that is what actually is making the pregnancy rates go quite high.
Support from community resources and professionals can offer a lifeline for young mothers. With the right guidance and assistance, there is hope for a positive path forward. Mariam Hassan, a nurse at Shofco, is passionate about mentoring teenage moms despite coming from a religion that is strict on it.
Dealing with the teenage mom was not easy. I am a Muslim first, and according to religion-wise, I'm not supposed to be doing those family planning services. But I decided to make decision for myself because I was raised here in Kibera, and I understand the situation here. So I took it as part of my journey to help the teen moms.
Families often grapple with their own fears and shame, exasperating the burden on young mothers. A stigma is internalized, leading to strained relationships and further isolation.
It was hard because my dad accept that I will become a mom. So it was a hard process because I had to stand for myself. My parents didn't accept it. And I would say actually they have not accepted it up to now.
It was hard, lakini ilibidi waichukulie juu it was my decision. Nilisha decide nikuwe na mtoto wangu juu ni kenye nilitaka, si ati nililazimishwa, nilitaka by the way. It was hard for my parents, but ilibidi wakubali.
The stigma surrounding teenage pregnancy often manifests in harsh judgment and exclusion. Young mothers face not only societal disapproval, but also isolation from their peers and community. Teenage motherhood presents numerous challenges, especially in marginalized communities. Counseling is very important to make these mothers feel not ashamed of their situation.
The challenges that our teenage moms who are wanakuja nayo, first is they don't have somebody to listen to them. Sometimes wanakuja already wamesha mess up, ama mtu anakuambia jana nilikuwa with this person, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, I don't know kama niko pregnant. So as a nurse, you put yourself in that shoe, uone venye utamsaidia. Unaanza through by kumtake the counseling processes, unampea the services yenye ana need at that point. Kama ata need continuous counseling, unampea counseling na kumake sure that amefeel hapo ni a safer place that anaweza run to anytime akiwa na problem.
In communities facing the complexities of teenage pregnancy, community health workers play a crucial role. They bridge gaps in healthcare, education, and support, helping young mothers navigate their challenges and build better futures. Shofco is taking the lead in this.
So akikuja tumfanye hiyo test tupate ako pregnant, tuko na the social work department. Akikuja tunamlink na the social work department, tunamwanzisha hiyo the clinic process, tunamwelezea everything, na hapo pia tutaendelea kumlink na counselor because hiyo journey si easy. Utini ukiwa mdogo na umepata pregnant kwa society, watu watakudiscriminate, kuna wale wenye ma friends zako wote watakukimbia. Some parents wataambia their kids usitembee na huyu mtoto, unaona tayari ameshaanza kufanya hizi mambo za ngono, amepata mimba. So kuna ile tunakuwa a shoulder to lean on. Alafu weekend Saturdays huwa tunakuwa na support groups zao, tunakuja tunawaongelesha, kuna wale wenye walisha deliver wanawamenta, at least hiyo journey inakuwa easy kidogo.
While the challenges of teenage pregnancy in slum areas are significant, the strength and resilience of community offers a glimpse of hope. With continued support and education, there is chance for change and a brighter future for the next generation.
To all the teenagers outside there, ningetaka kuambia teenage pregnancy kuna hard, kuna rahisi. Lakini ni hard, si rahisi. Unaweza kuwa pregnant, baba mtoto kuwa yuko. Ama unaweza kuwa pregnant, baba mtoto yako support, alafu mbeleni akuje aanze kukumistreat. So the thing naweza kuambia tu sana wasirush into relationship, early relationship. Yani kuishi na mtu ama nini. Yani they take their time to think what they want in life. Wakae chini wafikirie, I want this, I want that.
The advice I will give to a teenage girl outside there is, I can say that most of the teenage girls, most of them are sexually active, and I will just say, because they're sexually active, me, I wasn't given that advice, so I'll just advise them to look for this family planning, because you can't tell them to abstain because they are already sexually active. And to teenage mom, I'll just advise them just pull up or bring themselves up, and to believe them, believe like wanaweza, they can. they can take themselves as a mother.
What I'll advise a teenager huku Kibera, I understand because nilikuwa nimereiziwa huku na nimelelewa huku, it's not easy. But anytime una feel uko sexually active, hakuna haja ya kuficha. Kuna clinics mingi huku mtaa, you can just go, useme unataka family planning. Hapa Shofco tuko na kitu inaitwa Tiko. Tiko ni ya young girls, inawapea family planning services na ni free, haulipishwi. Unakuja unauliza, utagaidiwa Tiko iko wapi, utapewa services za family planning for free, utapewa counseling services. Ukiwa mjamzito during that process pia kuna venye utalinkiwa na utasaidika. Hiyo journey tutasimama na wewe mpaka mwisho.
I never heard the music so sweet. I repeat.
Well, go on, me brethren, big things are going. Remember, each and every Monday we have to shell down the place with nothing but the best of smooth wave the vibes in your favorite station. You know these things, man.
Alafu kila Tuesday, kata simu tupo side giving you Kenyan music from the 254.
And of course, you can spice up your Wednesday by enjoying blazing hot hip-hop and R&B jams.
We don't got no label. She say she want bottles.
Vibes and vibes as we go all across Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, all the way to Tanzania to give you nothing but the best on Afro Thursday. Make sure you make a date with us each and every single Friday with me, DJ_Liza Diva,
DJ Colda,
and me, Wanjiko. This is Club One Extra.
Unanifanya nisikie kunyongwa. Hadija ai, mani especially ukisonga.